poised and waiting for you. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was trying to figure out why I am so shiny, but we're just going to have to go with it. It's a very strange and shiny Friday night. Happy cocktail time, everybody. It is gallery night at last. Let's do it. Let's do some cheers, my dears, before I have a fatal spill here. Oh boy. It's another bowls night for me. BOLS. This Amsterdam. I guess, what is it? You know, I don't know what the base of it is. But it's the yogurt flavored stuff with some nutty stuff in it. Oh, I love nut everything. Happy Friday, everybody. Uh-oh. Teddy, I'm running a show, just so you know, okay? No loud voices. Let's see what happens. Welcome back, everybody. Let me see who's here for our Friday night. I am at home. I was already at the studio for a little while, ready to come on home and have a nice, relaxing night. Linda, great to see you. Cheers, my dears. From a happily hooking Jersey girl, looking forward to our scrumptious gallery. It is very good tonight. And tonight, like many nights, there's a lot of things besides rugs, like ideas and tips. And oh, I just love it when we have all that good stuff to dive into. God, that is so good. It's crazy. It is not good for the waistline. I feel like I've otherwise been doing quite well, but that's going to be one of the things that shakes my resolve in a huge way. And you logged on. Great to see you from Getting Warmer, Florida. That sounds very good. It sounds very appealing. Linda H. Happy cocktail night from Massachusetts. Great to see you. Life in Michigan. Cheers, my dears in Michigan. Great to see you. So happy to have you there. Mom, you logged on for cocktail night. Chilling in Connecticut. Awaiting another snow. Are we having a snowstorm on Sunday night? I did not hear that yet. Sunday into Monday. Oh, you must be joking. Okay, I'm absolutely fine with it because it is okay. Doctor's appointment for one of the kids on Tuesday, so that should be just fine. We've had nothing but doctor's appointments this week. It's just bonkers. 2 dentist appointment one day, the following day, the back doctor for Quasimodo. I mean, Jocelyn, I'm just kidding. Her back is realigned. Isn't that crazy? They put an instep in her shoe for just a few months because, to be honest, she usually forgot to wear it. But now her little spine is straight as a pin. So amazing. It's amazing when things work out like that. Isn't that great? Oh, my word. I did not know that, Mom. Pam, great to see you. Cheers, my dears, from Liberty, South Carolina. You are having some early spring weather there. Ooh, it's a balmy 61 degrees. That is quite warm, isn't it? It's been a little bit like that for the last couple days here, too, and it's got me a little bit worried because I thought, oh, like, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Oh, no, is it spring yet? Because it is January after all, isn't it? I'm looking for a few more sledding days or, something with the kids, something like that. Melanie, great to see you. Hello on Happy Friday night and gallery night. Great to see you. Joyce, great to see you. Cheers, my dears in Pennsylvania. Great to see you. Kirsten, you logged on in Vermont. Cheers, my dears. Great to see you too. Shannon, huge thank you for the show tonight. Shannon put the show together, the shape of it, found some extra content. Huge thank you for that. And sending lots of love. Pim Hunt, gorgeous rug on the cover. Beverly, the rug on the cover is Barbara. I do have a rug from Beverly in here, but that's Barbara on the cover. And I think Barbara's going to be joining us in a little while. I think she's setting her husband up with something to watch. I know that feeling because I need to be set up when I watch anything on the TV. I find it, I'm not going to start. Is it so hard using the remote control? Just tell me. Does anybody else have issues with using the remote control for the television set? Because my memory of the television set in, for example, the 90s was that it was there was 4 channels, but it was very easy to find those 4 channels. And then when there were cable channels, it was still easy to find the cable channels. I struggle so much with the remote control for the TV. And all I ever do is go to the Hallmark channel, and typically the mystery, it's like very easy, but I'm not going to waste our time on that kind of thing, but it's just too much. Modern times, too much. Catherine, great to see you. Happy Friday from Missouri. Cheers, my dears. I like your beer and pretzel. Oh, that looks so fun. Lisa, great to see you. Hello, happy Friday. Happy gallery night. Oh, Catherine, great to see you. Cheers, my dears, in Southern California. And Judy, love gallery night inspiration. It is super inspiration, isn't it? That is the thing about the gallery nights. It's so good. It's so good to share. Andrea, great to see you. I haven't been saying all along. Andrea just reminded me, a lot of you who are logging on have great work in the show tonight. You know it. You just know it. I found some beautiful things, and quite a few beautiful things were sent. So that will be our content for tonight. Cheers, my dears. Not yet decided on your drink. Undecided on what to have. Well, the drink you sent in the picture when you were away was a very nice looking thing. I know a bartender probably made that. That looked pretty amazing. Ryan, great to see you. Happy Friday. Heading to a concert in the rain. Oh, tuning in for a bit. Peace and love to you too. Ryan, where are you? Who are you going to see tonight? Who's the concert? How fun is that? Linda B, enjoy, Ryan. Priscilla, great to see you. Cheers. Cheers to everyone in Ohio, and cheers to you too. Happy Friday night. Brian Smith. Oh, Kelly, great to see you. Here with husband enjoying cherry Moscato. Oh, how nice is that? Well, happy Friday night to you both. I'm very glad that you're there. Yes, more snow. Oh, gosh, I miss that. I missed that. Great news about Joss. Thank you. It is great news. I said to her, we don't need to apply for any jobs ringing any bells in cathedral towers. I think it's so insensitive. I know. I'm so sorry. But it's just, yeah. She's absolutely straight as a pin. But they said, you know, when the kids are growing a little bit, it could change again. And her legs are a good half-inch difference from one to the next. Now, I know that happens a lot. Asymmetry in the human body, right? Happens a lot, but it's just funny because it's very noticeable. When she had her on the table and her knees were next to each other, one was much higher. I never noticed things like that, but it is very noticeable. Not walking or anything like that. She is a fireball, as you know, but it is good news. Oh, Barbara, you made it. Great. I feel Michigan is well represented here. I think so. Oh, and Pamela says, sorry, Barbara, my mistake. Oh, that's okay, because we've got a beautiful Valentine piece from Beverly, too. Kathy, great to see you. I have something of yours in here. Looking forward to your visit next Saturday. Me, too. I'm super looking forward to next Saturday. I was thinking I'd put some patterns together in case anybody wants any of the patterns that I'll be showing. We'll see how it goes. I'll get as much done as I can. Chuck Marshall, hello from Michigan with Bloom Cider for the show. God, that sounds fantastic. Oh, that sounds really good. Moss Rose. Oh, you logged on again. Hello in Kansas. Great to see you. Great to see everybody tonight. I am looking forward to a really fun show. In the meantime, do you know what happened today? I was very surprised. I was half waiting to hear from you all. Great idea. Yeah, I think I will, Kathy. I know it's like sort of expected when I give talks and stuff to bring some stuff to sell. It's just been very busy lately, so I haven't had a ton of time, but I think I'm going to set aside a day or two this week to just trace out some patterns. So I have some stuff to sell if people want it, because I'm doing a lot of talking this coming month. I have a lot of talks coming up, and I will be starting, did I tell you I'll be starting a series of 4, I think it starts in March, 4 visits to Mount Sinai in Hartford. They have been asking for me there, which is very nice, and I do not want to let down. So it's 4 different times that I go in person, which is kind of like, but my mom reminded me it is the hospital where my dad died. So I feel like they want something special. I want to be there and provide it, do it, be there for the people who are asking for rug making with me. So that'll be very nice. That'll be a 4-shot deal once a month. So I have to think about the project that I want to do with that group. It's very nice to be invited to a hospital to do, people who are there long term. It should be a lot of fun. And I have a lot more speaking dates. I put a multi-strand braiding date on the calendar for March at Madison Wool. I haven't been there for a couple months because it's been that busy, but I'll start being there in person as well. And I think I have 3 or 4 other speaking dates in February and March, at different guilds. So we'll see how it goes. But this is what happened today. I was very surprised. It's way more than this. Da, da, da. A bunch of the books came. So exciting. We aren't going to look at them tonight, but this is my latest book. It arrived today. I didn't know when it would arrive. I thought it might arrive in a month. Well, it arrived today. I have to be careful because unfortunately both of the boxes of books were split open. So I'm going to take a very good look at all of them before I start sending them out. You can imagine my dismay when I noticed that both boxes were split open on both sides. Not just on one side or one corner. No, both sides, both boxes. Woo! So we'll see how it goes. But I have to say, they do look beautiful. This is my second book. This is published by Embry Press. Robin's beautiful Van Gogh on the cover. It looks really lovely on the inside, I have to say. They did a really nice job with formatting. It's a good looking book. To be honest, I haven't really looked at it. You know how I don't like to look at stuff after I've done it because it just makes me nervous and I'm afraid I'm going to spot a typo or something. But it's good. I have to say it's a good looking book. It's 130 pages, which is, these usually top out at about 100. So this is longer than usual. So I appreciate them taking the chance with me, and oh, there I am, and doing a book that was a little bit longer. So lots of beauty in there. We'll talk about that another time. So those should start shipping tomorrow. I guess that's exciting. I just don't want to look at it. I'm done with this project, and I just don't want to look at it. But I bet it's great. Melanie, we spent last evening watching the Fort Worth Rodeo, Ryan. Oh, how fun is that? Ryan, you are going to Tanya Tucker, Miss Delta Dawn. The Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo is going on. That sounds like a lot of fun. Gosh, enjoy yourself because you're much earlier time-wise in Texas. Gosh, I hope that's fun. Oh my God, set 3 books aside for me. I will, Mom. So happy you have them in hand. I am too. It's good to know that they're out. They look good. I have to say the cover is a little lightweight. It's not super lightweight. Looks quite good. I'm scared to look too much, but I mean I already proofed it, so I know what the content is in here. Beverly asked a while back, if you're watching, Beverly, if any of your pieces would make it into the last book. I think unfortunately they were all cut, not because they weren't amazing, just because of the way they edited and the chapters they edited out of my first book. Well, I just opened and there's one of yours right there. So we know there's at least one of your pieces in this. It does look pretty good, I have to say. That's enough. Might set me right off before the show. So that'll be fun. Yep, they are coming your way. Dave, good to see you. Pizza and hard cider. That's kind of becoming your Friday night thing, isn't it? That sounds really, really good. Melanie says, I wish we were local, but no. We live in Northwest Washington State. Yeah, that is a little ways away. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Yep, I'll get them out as soon as I can. That'll be really fun. Melissa, great to see you. Happy Friday night. So I don't want to talk about me and my book. It's here. There's a whole bunch of them, and there's a whole big box downstairs. I think they sent about 30 so far. These actually look okay for something that was open in the rain. These actually look quite good. So maybe I might have overreacted. That's really hard to imagine, isn't it? But I might have overreacted a little bit. We'll see. I'll go over them with a fine-tooth comb. But that'll be fun to get some of these out to you. So then this will be done. On to the next, right? On to Magpie Times and our next projects. Something I wanted to say about Magpie. So this is not a huge change or anything like that. If anything, I'm leveling up a little bit in video game lingo. Judy and I were talking and saying, trying to figure out the best way to, a lot of people are going to take the digital copy of Magpie Times, the new fiber arts magazine that we're putting out. First issue coming out in March, and content hopefully in by about February 17. And it will be a quarterly publication. We keep saying magazine, and Judy said to me, as far as printing magazines, when you're looking to print a magazine, when we're looking at something this length, because it's becoming quite large, right? So we were thinking, is it going to be like the Wall Street Journal, like 40 something, 50, 60 pages? No, it's going to be a lot more than that. So Judy said, we're really looking at something, publishing magazines for some reason is very expensive. So Judy said, why don't we publish it as a book? And I said, why don't we meet in the middle and call it a journal? It's going to be a quarterly journal. So I'm going to stop using the term magazine because we are going to publish it in exactly the same format, hopefully with the spiral binding, with all of the same content and more. But when we're publishing it in book format, we have a lot more options in terms of printing it. So I think that is really the thing, because so many people have sent in content already, and I want to use all of it. It's all fabulous. There isn't a single thing that anybody sent me in terms of gallery photo, article, idea for a future issue that is not fantastic. I love all of it, sincerely love all of it. And I want all of it to hit the press. We want to print it all, and we want to share everybody's ideas, stories, articles, pieces, tips, tricks, everything, everything, everything. So going strong on that, Monique. Great to see you in England. Great to see you. Happy Friday night. Maybe bring a few to the guild meeting. Okay, Kathy, I will. I should, yeah, it's just next week. I was going to say, because I need to ship out the first 30 or something. I'll have to see how many I have, but I should bring some, shouldn't I? I really should bring some. Okay, I'll bring some. Because I have more on order anyway. These were kind of like the author's copies that they send out like first. And it is part of the deal in the contract, because as you can imagine, I didn't, sign a deal with Random House. This is Embry Press. So, it's not like I'm, using $100 bills as deodorant all of the sudden. Definitely not. It's a very small press, but one of the perks is that they send you a bunch of copies when they first come out. So I've got these pre-copies, and then I've got some ordered copies. So everybody will be getting theirs apparently very soon, because the book is in print. All right, let's get going on our night. We have a very good night planned, I have to say. Really nice content. I hope I can see okay. I think I can see okay. Let's see what we got going. I forgot to put the logo in, but who cares, right? Who cares? All right, let's see. Barbara, we are starting with you. You are on deck. I was hoping, Andrea, that you and Monique were going to talk just to see where you both were in relationship to each other. Barbara, you sent some beautiful stuff for this show, and I also did a little bit of poaching off of our Facebook page, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. Barbara, you post such amazing stuff, and I said earlier to you in a private message, thank you so much for all of the great content that you send in. It really kicks us up so many notches. All of the great information and talent in the group, but you post a lot of really different things, and I really appreciate it. So you wrote with this piece in a message for gallery night: before I joined a guild or hooked with anybody else, I muddled my way through creating patterns, scrounging through charity shops and a few eBay purchases with not much guidance on texture or weights best suited for my project. W Cushing wasn't on my radar yet, and the fun colors here were all done with Kool-Aid in 2009. Kool-Aid. Isn't that fun? And then at the bottom of the message you wrote, I think in 2024, I'll be channeling that rug hooker again. If for no other reason than it was fun. I just love that sentiment. Isn't that it? Isn't that really it? So colors dyed with Kool-Aid. Why not? Kool-Aid does a very nice job. It's something that you can do without worrying about it being toxic. You can see that the colors, they're not as fast as chemical colors, but they have held incredibly well. This is 2009. It wasn't like, it was 1909. But these colors are bright and brilliant. And to boot, Judy says the texture on that basket is wonderful, Barbara. It really is. That is so cool. You've done a nice, simple, I love these like stretched basket designs. I love the flatness of the flowers coming out, and I love the careful placement of lamb's tongues on the side. Loving the marble cake background that you did in all of the different colors of brown, and the beautiful stripies around the edge. So smart how that cornflower blue color is in flowers and then in the four corners. And in the text, the signature brings your eye right out to those corners, and then you notice those pretty stripes. Really, really, really well done. Really beautiful job. The basket is the prestige. You did such a fine, like Escher kind of a job on the basket. Just very, very fine lines. It looks like pen and ink. Gives a lot of texture and a lot of depth to the basket. I love the contrast between how flat the flowers are and how busy the basket is. Really, really smart. And speaking of, I gotta open this door. You know what? It's like, it's happening. The heat. Hot, cold, hot, cold. Kool-Aid is a great idea. But you know what else is coming up? Is Easter. And that means that all of those egg dyeing kits are going to start appearing both at the regular grocery store and the pharmacies, but also at the dollar stores. Because those color tablets that you use for dyeing eggs, it doesn't matter if they're the Paz brand or if they're from the dollar store. It's going to be the same, right? And those are not dangerous dyes. Those are food dyes. And those will also color your stuff so pretty. Color your supplies, your wool, your yarn, so pretty. It, like the basket, right? Like the Kool-Aid dyeing. So that's something to think about, and to sort of, on your market, set, go, start hoarding, right? Because when you find those egg decorating kits, they often nowadays have different kinds, right? Different themes like neon, marbleized, right? They're not just like the plain 6 Easter tablets with the traditional Easter colors. It's a lot of different kinds of colors now. So might as well hoard those while they're around. Of course, after Easter, they'll be even less expensive, but it is a fun thing to look for right now. Mm. Let me read this comment. Judy, you wrote, oh wait, Barbara wrote, texture on the basket was insane. All strips are about 2 inches. Oh, okay. So all the strips are about 2 inches long, right? Because it can't be that big of a piece that they're 2 inches. That would never be. They're about 2 inches long. So you must, Barbara, you must have found those scrapping it up at a thrift store or something and then cut very small. And why not? I don't do that when I record videos and things, because I try to do best foot forward, streamline it, keep it simple for beginners. But that in my private life, in the living room, down in the baskets, I have about 6 or 7 baskets by the various chairs. It looks like there's really something wrong with me, if you were to see the house. But obviously there is, but I keep scraps of everything. And sometimes they are 2 inches big, but it's because I really want that piece and I'm not going to give it up. And practicality and wasted time just don't even hit the radar. It's all about need that color, need those pieces. So we all know that. Sometimes the cuff is a different color or the lapel than something else, and you need the colors. But it does make you just manic, hooking small little pieces like that and starting and stopping. It was well worth it because the basket is beautiful. Judy says, Kool-Aid and food coloring are both great options if you don't have the wherewithal to have a ton of kitchen supplies set aside for dye only. Fantastic to do with kids as well. Couldn't have said it better myself. Absolutely. Pamela says, lots of Easter egg dye. I saw some galaxy dye. Yes, we have the galaxy dye. That is very cool. Galaxy dye, glitter dye, exactly. There's a whole tie dye, right? There's a whole bunch, and sometimes they're completely different color tablets, and sometimes, for example, if there are 6 colors in the traditional Easter box, maybe 4 of them are repeats for Galaxy. The Galaxy has a little bit of shine to it, but might as well get them all if they are reasonably priced, because they really do, for exactly the reasons that you're saying. I like to do that kind of dyeing with Jocelyn because she is, number one, an incredible mess maker. Number two, chemical dyes are just a little bit scary to do with kids. I sometimes do, but I have to be really, really alert because I don't want them splashing or her getting anything in her mouth, like it lands on the counter and then she finds a Cheerio and eats it and it's soaked with, chemical dye. So yeah, the food dyes are really great, particularly at this time of year. Pamela says lots of Easter eggs. Yep, and Barbara says that one went on the side of my bed. I never step on the basket. That's so funny. I can see why, because it took plenty of time. You're an incredible mess maker too, Joss. Oh God, I'm gonna say, Pam, she like usurps. It's just unreal. That child went to school today. She might still have it on. She went to school today with the most extraordinary mess of paint colors on her new pants. I literally, just the day before yesterday, a bunch of new stretchy pants came from Amazon, and they are already at least 2 pairs covered with color, like she's a professional painter, right? And it's just, and then I think, who cares, right? Who cares? Because she's got paint on her pants, she's got slime, right, which is like 3-dimensional crap all over. It is what can you do? And I think everybody understands these days. It's not like it was when I was growing up and there was a spot on your uniform, God forbid. It's not like that anymore. But my God, it is. If she has such a talent for making mess. If only that could be like somehow focused into like a job occupation, like a official mess maker, professional mess maker, that would really be amazing. We would be very, very wealthy. So let's come back over here, because these were bedside rugs, weren't they, Barbara? Really well done. A pair of bedside rugs. And I've only shown you one so far. This was also our thumbnail for today. This was the other one. And it looks like you did it in the same color palette. So that makes me think you must have found some treasures when you were out thrifting that really moved you and got you thinking, ooh, I see a pair. And, you know, I love how these are both florals, but they're not the same. This one's much more of a geometric. The flower basket is obviously a still life, a figural. Very, very different, but these are matching rugs because the colors are the same. And this one really glows, really pretty. Again, the cornflower blue, the placement of everything is very thoughtful. You did such a nice job, really such a nice job. And your initials, I just love it. Everything is so well done. The directional hooking, everything is so well done. And it's clear that that tweedy material that you have was obviously a garment or something like that. It's very, very pretty. It's about 50% that kind of smoky brown and otherwise black or dark charcoal. Really pretty. Oh, Juliet, great to see you. Late to the party. Hello in Maryland. Great to see you. Andrea, they both go together so well. And Barbara says, my initials ended up on this rug because I ran out of colors. Oh, interesting. You know, it's great to add that as an aside because that makes a lot of sense. I was wondering why you did your initials differently from one to the next. And I thought you were doing a bit of a Vincent van Gogh where you're kind of experimenting with the way you want your signature to look. But this was done out of necessity because you ran out of supplies. That is the best reason to change it up, isn't it? No rules, right? Isn't it great that spirit of improvisation? That really is what rug making is about, right? All fiber arts don't work like that, but rug making definitely works like that. That spirit of improv, I think, is what makes so many of us feel drawn to this craft. And what Barbara said in that last post, like, I think I will channel like that mindset from, what was it, 2009, of just like flying by the seat of the pants, forgetting what you've learned ever since, and just figuring it out as you go along. It gives you this organic trajectory and it sets you up for a situation where you cannot screw up. You can't screw up if you're doing it according to how you figure it out, right? You're just putting one foot in front of the other, figuring stuff out, finding pieces that you like and colors that you like, cobbling it into a beautiful piece. It can't be wrong, right? That is absolutely the way to do this craft. It is good to think about returning to that mindset because it takes a lot of pressure off, doesn't it? It removes that whole layer of did I screw up the coloring, right? Do I have did I use the color wheel properly? Do I have a dark, light, dull, bright? Is everything popping? It removes that whole conversation, and it's just like, oh, I found this blazer, I found these two sweaters, here's a pair of socks, there's a dish towel, let's go. And that is the way. That really is the way. And Barbara says, we can go with the Van Gogh thought. Why not? Why not? You are so good. Now, another beautiful piece for tonight. Linda Schultes Hoffman, you sent this beautiful piece in. I'm not going to make it super big because it's a fairly small file, but it's a beautiful piece. And I wanted you all to see it because this is really interesting. Linda wrote, this piece is my version of French artist Charles Walsh, Le Coq devant le village. So I don't know what devant means. The rooster is something, the village. And this artist, Charles Walsh, was his life between 1898 and 1948. That's a short life. And this piece is 18 inches by 12 inches mixed yarn and cut wool. Linda, this is so beautiful. I want to show the actual painting next to it. Now, this is so, I mean, this is a situation in my mind where you don't even have to cite the painting, even if it is the inspiration, because your version is so different. But I will say it has so much devant means in front of. Oh, like a preposition. Devant. Okay, so Charles, the cock, in front of the village, right? Like literally in front of the village. Thank you. It's time to brush up on French, apparently. But you know, this is such a sort of deviation from the painting. It's great that you named the painting because I was able to pull it up and show both together, and I think that adds so much je ne sais quoi. But you know, it is very different, and it really is all yours. I do love the way that you have kept the rooster with this crazy playful energy, right? I love the blue all through the background. I way prefer the blue to the brown background. I love the village in the distance, right? There is a great quality of storytelling here. The placement of the village is very smart too. I like how there's one building that's kind of just off on the side. It has a very primitive feel to it, but it also has a great impressionistic flair to it. Color wise, it's so like you, Linda. It's so beautiful. It's so colorful, right? It's very unexpected. You always use a bright color to ground things. And I just love that about you, that your idea of like a neutral, like ground, is always a very bright color. I love that. I love that because it gives your pieces such personality. I really love this piece, and I love looking at it next to the inspiration piece. Although it's like night and day, your piece, I think, is so much, the composition is so much more suited to a rug design or a fiber design of any kind. It is really, really colorful, charming. The colors in the body are exquisite, right? And there are two cocks, roosters. I never really can tell the difference. I guess that gobbler thing is what makes them a boy on the throat, right? But there is a second bird of some sort right next to it, right, like pecking down at something on the ground. I think that is such a sweet, companionable composition. It is a beautiful composition, a lot of fun. I love that you saw the painting and you were inspired to do a rug version of it. I think that's absolutely fantastic. That's what we live for, right? And people who do textile arts, particularly rug making, this is what we live for, is the moment where you really attach emotionally and in terms of inspiration to a piece that you see and you think, let's go. This is my next piece. So really well done. Really is truly beautiful. Absolutely love it. And let's move on to Melissa. Oh, this was such a goodie. This is called You Glow Girl. Is finished. I made it into a longer style pillow either for my bed or sofa. It's meant to be a tree of hearts flanked by deer whose scarves reflect the idea of swirling love and the important need to be you. Oh, that is great. The strips are torn, probably a 9 cut, and I knotted the hearts to give them a bit more dimension. Oh, that is cool. That is cool. I love the blend of soft colors, and I find I am definitely building on my personal color wheel. A nod to your Design Like class, Deanna. Thanks for all you do. Oh, Melissa, you are so welcome. That was a great class, and that was, I almost forgot, one of the things we talked about in the Design Like Paul Claycat class was about the idea of the color wheel and the idea that a color wheel and a personal palette, right, are apples and oranges. They are two different things, but they could be and should be more closely aligned. We all have colors that we favor, right? Depending on how technical. God, that light is so hot. I might turn that off for a minute. I feel like I'm going to expire. We all have colors. Let me see if it's bright enough without. Maybe not. Okay, let's see. Hold on one second. We all have colors that we favor. There we go. And, you know, we really should honor that, because that's hardwired, right? We love the colors that we love for whatever reason. Who knows? Associations, just whimsy, whatever. But if you can align your personal color palette, accept that those are the colors that you like. And yes, sometimes you work outside the colors because you need some extra pop, but accept that your favorite colors are your favorite colors and transpose those onto your own color wheel. So we're not looking at a technical color wheel of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. We're looking at a color wheel where your colors are slotted into the relevant places, the correct places on the wheel, but it's probably not a full wheel of color. So technical people will say, no thanks. You know, no thanks, Satan, not today. I'm going to go for the whole color wheel because I need to consult it when I work. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's also nothing wrong with saying, I really just like pink, yellow, and purple. And really my color wheel is going to be a full color wheel, but based on those 3 colors, because those are my go-tos. And I'm happiest when I'm working in that color palette. Nothing wrong with that either. And it doesn't matter if those are colors that you would choose, or if you think that makes a complete palette for somebody's piece. Doesn't matter. What matters is that any project that we're working on, that project reflects us, right? What we like, because you're supposed to have fun while you're making it, right? That little side thing. So I love, Melissa, you already had a very strong color aesthetic that was all yours. And you have just been building on that ever since I've known you. I can tell by the color palette that it's your palette before I even put my glasses on to look at a page when there's something new popping up. You know, I can tell that it's you, and that is a great compliment. This is just a beautiful piece. It is so much fun. Um, I love the symbolism. I love the swirly quality. I love the colors. I love the deer. It is so you. I love the knotted hearts. It's just absolutely beautiful. Barbara says, I've been stuck on pink and mustard gold lately. It may be the Jane Austen influence. This piece is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. You're right. I think with the advent calendars, I definitely put the colors that I put into the advent calendars were sort of predominantly rose pinks, mustard golds, and blues. Because to me, that is like the backbone of the Regency palette. You know. And Linda says, wonderful movement in that piece. It is really pretty. Andrea says, I love how the loops really show up. No mistaking it as being hooked. Yeah, that is the thing about these really wide cuts. When you cut wide and you rip, it's primitive. It's the ultimate challenge because it's a very primitive cut when you're working that wide. But you can be very, very good at working with the wide cuts, or it can be really challenging. It's not for everybody, but everybody should at least try it. And Melissa, this is like your absolute forte. This is your absolute style, right? You are the master of this cut. And I agree with Kathy, the delicate deer, right? For such a wide cut, the deer have a lot of sort of poise, right? Their little bodies, you can tell they're kind of in action. They are whimsical and stylized, but they are clearly deer. There's no question about what they are. Kathy says, embroidered on the piece behind the... Oh my gosh, you know what? Good thing you said that. Hang on. Pam says she's made that with cut appear so delicate. Absolutely. It really is a talent. It's very hard to do. I have to say, I also noticed the deer behind. Can you see the little deer behind? And the reason I noticed those is because, Melissa, you do great. Be quiet, Ted. Zip it up. You do so great with Teddy. I am running a live show.
Sorry, I'm joking.
Get out. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. He's talking to his friend on speakerphone. Melissa, you create some lovely vignettes that are very, very inspiring. And this one with the deer in the background, the embroidered deer, that really caught my eye because of the repetition of the two deer in part, and because of the repetition of the color. But also it occurred to me, I don't always notice embroidery. Like, I don't know, my eyes just don't always see it. It's not always interesting. But to me, this was super interesting, the embroidery on the pillow, because of the short stitches, right? It's just like, almost like individual hairs. Like all those little stitches really, I don't know, there's something about those two deer. Because it's color-wise, it's not explosive, but the colors are correct. There's a lot of background showing, and the way that whoever stitched that just picked out the right hairs in the right places to shape the deer. They have such a nice, round, tactile, sweet, soft look. It's absolutely perfect. The perfect vignette, as usual. Kirsten says, love this rug. Need to try a wide, torn cut. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, this is, Melissa does so well. And Melissa, in the pillow, I love like the creamy colors in the background, but you've got some really icy pink colors in the background too. And I find that really, really, really exciting. Melissa says, I love deer. Yes, I bought those two pillowcases at an antique store. They really are so charming. So charming. Beautiful, beautiful piece. Thank you so much. Kathy, you sent another beautiful piece in. This is, you said, a small piece at 14 by 14, hooked on linen with wool yarn. It was destined to be a pillow, and it really is lovely. This is another, you do this so well too, this primitive style, but you're hooking with yarn. So this is kind of the opposite of a wide cut, like we saw in the last slide. Really beautiful composition. I just love the flow. I love the reaching, the stretching of the flowers on the side. I love the leaves coming out of the center. It is just a really fun, classic primitive composition. But your primitives always look different to me. Because you work in the style often, you have a real flair. I love the light colored stems that you have going. I can see that they're changing colors in that single wide cut of wool going up under the red flowers. I mean, it really color-wise is super cohesive. That black and antique black in the background, absolutely stunning. It is so, so pretty. Color-wise, it's really compelling. You know, I love the round green leaves coming out of the top and how it's darker down at the bottom, like the light is kind of catching them at the top. It's very mysterious because it's a black background and we're not seeing the source of light, but we can get a feel for it because the leaves are light tipped on top. It really flows. It's a very sort of I don't want to say sensual because that makes it sound more sexy than potted plants, you know, but it does have that curvy feel to it that is really, really catchy. It really grabs you. Oh, you are so welcome. What a pretty piece. Oh, and you sent me something else that was really helpful because we were talking about this on our tips and tricks. This is a monkey hook in action. And you were showing me a picture of it because my thick skull just could not grasp how it worked, the whole monkey screw thing. And I can see, because you said, like, you know, no hammer, you just, no hammer, no nail, you just literally screw the thing into the wall. So that makes sense to me. I totally get how that goes now. And then what would you do? I'm not going to start, but is the hook itself quite wide? Like, would you put that through the backing of your piece, or would you be looking to catch it on a little rod or something, or on a tab or something? That's my last monkey hook question, I promise. Oh, Dawn, great to see you. Oh, you're just a little bit late. We are going strong, that's for sure. Melissa says, I collect Holly Hobby stuff too. It looks like a child's bed, but it's mine. Oh, I also love Holly Hobby. You know, it's funny how those things all come back, isn't it? Like all of those old characters. And Holly Hobby hit me at exactly the right time because I was never really a Barbie girl. It wasn't like I didn't like dolls, I just didn't have any. And my sister caught the Cabbage Patch Kids, and my mother had to deal with that whole thing. But I was a little bit too old for that. Well, Holly Hobby was more my thing coming out of the 70s, you know. And I think for whatever reason, that whole look, like that whole autumn palette with the patchwork skirts and the bonnets, like it was a grown-up Sunbonnet Sue kind of a character, that really got me. And it's one of those things that makes up, I guess, my taste, right? Because that color palette is not for me. I don't like the 70s color palette, but it was kind of amazing in the 70s how, with, for example, the printed Holly Hobby books and like all the fabric that they made for like craft projects for sewing, how far they could go with shades of like avocado green, brown, kind of rusty orange, and yellow. It's a very limited palette, but they're always, the pictures for Holly Hobby always seemed really colorful to me. So it was like they had some kind of trick going where they were able to really stretch a very limited palette. I also like Holly Hobby for that reason, and I also really love Strawberry Shortcake. And I was definitely too old for that, but just that, the kind of pairing of the clothing, the names, the way that the dolls smelled, like all of the senses coming in, the mystery and the evil characters, right? There was the pie man and then the woman who had the giant snake. Yeah, it was exciting at that time. It was colorful. It tied in foods that everybody liked, pies and cakes that everybody liked. There was just something about that time. It's like, I guess every generation says this about when they grew up, but I just don't see these things like hitting us anymore. And I think about when these kids grew up, and it's like, thank God for Thomas the Train, right? Thomas the Tank Engine. I'm always, you know, when Teddy is being naughty and I want to tease him, I always go do 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 do, because he hates talking about Thomas the Train, like he never liked it. And it was actually an amazing show, but it was old when he was very old when he was a little infant, you know. But there's not a lot of stuff to grab onto, in my opinion, anymore. I don't see stuff that's really, that charms you, right? That like charms you in a way that it buries itself in you and might pop out in 20 years in the form of a color palette that you really love. I just don't see that anymore. I might be missing it, or I might not be looking in the right places, but it just seems like we've lost a lot over time. We've lost a lot of charm anyway. Kathy says, on a framed piece on the... okay, so you would use the monkey hooks on a framed piece because you would need the wire. You wouldn't just whack it through the backing fabric. Okay, that makes sense. Yep. Dave says, TV influence such as the Waltons, Little House on the Prairie played into 1970s decor and entertainment. It's true. It's absolutely true. It's, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with today. I don't think there's anything wrong. I just don't see it's not my taste. Like nothing I see is my taste that the kids are interested in. But I just don't see a lot of charm. I guess that, I mean, for lack of a better word, I just don't. And I'm very happy that my kids, particularly Teddy, are so into vintage things. He's got a huge collection of vintage puppets and plush toys, and I love to see that because he ends up buying stuff. He buys a lot of stuff with his own money on eBay, and he buys really cute stuff that I recognize from when I was growing up. And I think, thank God for that, because I don't even know what we're talking about half the time. He's talking to me about, so I have no idea what we're even talking about, So he shows me things and I'm like, what am I looking at here? I mean, I just don't get it. I guess I'm getting old. Cindy, great to see you. Happy Friday. Ryan said, hello all. Great to see you. Ryan LeBeau logged off. Ryan Richards logged on. Great to see you. Welcome. Thank you, Kathy. I'm going to tell you about these earrings, then I'm going to get back to the show. I feel I have to tell you this, and I know there's going to be a lot of negative comments, but these earrings, Mom, you do not want to hear this. You do not want to hear this. When we went to that great, they look like, can you tell that they look almost like velvet or satin? They feel almost like rubber, but they're not. There's some kind of coating on metal that's kind of matte and metallic. When we went to this craft fair or holiday fair in December in Springfield, there was a booth, Mom. You got me the blue earrings for Christmas that I am absolutely in love with, and they were expensive. It's these earrings, and I got these on Temu, which is where I'm thinking that woman got hers too, even though she said they were handmade, because they also had those, but these are a different style in a different color because they come in many colors on Temu, T-E-M-U. I know people don't like Temu because they steal your information and whatever. I order from them a lot, I have to say. $2.73 free shipping. I know you didn't want to hear that, Mom. You did not want to hear that because the earrings at the fair were like 70. So a lot of stuff that we're seeing in stores today is coming from Temu. So just check and think so you know what you're getting, because I also love these. And for $10, really, I could have them in every color. Although my favorite ones are the ones I got for Christmas because they are the most special. Thank you. Jessica, great to see you. Bluey is that, Bluey is a great show, isn't he? The Australian dog. Jocelyn likes Bluey, or she did like Bluey. That is quite cute. That is cute. More in the Peppa Pig kind of a vein, like family, animals talking and having. But Bluey is actually very, very funny. I have to say, like, it's laugh out loud funny. Unexpected. It absolutely has charm. You're right. That is an exception. I think some of the Japanese stuff is very cute. Not quite my thing, but I can see the appeal. Judy, it's true. The anime stuff is quite appealing. It's funny how anime and kawaii have become such a big thing. Kawaii is one of the chapters of my second design-like book. And Mandy Cornish did a beautiful kawaii composition, the most busy pattern I've ever made. I haven't shown it yet, of an amusement park. Absolutely beautiful. I don't think I've shown it yet anyway, but absolutely beautiful, but all kawaii type animals, because that style's been around for a long time though. It's just been evolving. But the Japanese style holds, right? So that the whole kawaii style, which means like cutesy, that has held for quite a lot of years, at least a couple of decades. And it is very, very different, and it's not very sort of American in its approach. But in terms of design, it's interesting to look at it and to know that it exists, because a lot of cartoon characters and video game stuff is based on that style, and it is a Japanese style. So it is a bit far flung for us. But now we're seeing more and more of it. It becomes a little bit more familiar. I agree. It's not my style either. But I think it is. I think it's here to stay, and I think the kids are loving it. So many great earrings in that stall. I have a few pairs. Oh, I know. I still love them no matter what. Dawn, you shop on Temu too. It's just so inexpensive. It's crazy. It's just crazy. I love having lots of stuff, and I don't like spending so much, because the kids eat up all of my money. Melanie says, sorry, I refuse to buy from Temu. I choose to keep funds in the U.S. I often do too, but unfortunately, half the stuff on Amazon is actually from Temu, but it's been marked up about 95%, like literally. And that upsets me because I get the same stuff, like the same tracing paper, the same supplies, because it's coming from there anyway. But I see what you mean about funds. I do get that. I do get that. All right, let's come back to our night. I think I'm done with monkey hooks. I think I get it. I'm gonna give it a shot. Everybody knew about monkey hooks. I was late to the party with the monkey hooks. And yeah, I'm very glad that I am now in the know because it looks like an extremely handy thing. And certainly not using a hammer is a handy thing since, well, I can never find a hammer. So having something you can screw right in the wall is, yeah, amazing. Thank you for that. That was really helpful. This is another gorgeous piece. Joyce, you sent this piece in. This is such a happy, classic Dion Fitzpatrick pattern. So beautiful. This wall hanging will be part of a sale that will benefit breast cancer patients in need of financial aid during their treatment. Oh, that is fantastic. I wanted a pattern that was joyful, which is why I selected this one to hook. Oh, Joyce, that is so, so beautiful. I think you chose the perfect pattern. This really does have like a celebratory quality, doesn't it? It's like it is super joyful and playful and happy. It's got energy, it's got color, it's got hope. It just dances. She dances, the sky dances, the grass dances. It's just a beautiful piece. What a great cause, too. Deborah says, I'm very, very late. Oh, that's okay. It's so good to see you. So good to see you. I love this piece, Joyce. You did a great, great job. It looks like I have my glasses on. I'm a little bit far from the screen, but like one foot is kicking up from behind. So pretty. And Pamela says, how lovely. Thank you for supporting breast cancer patients. Absolutely. It is just, this is absolutely perfect. I honestly don't think you could have found a better pattern. It's perfect. It's perfect. Because it has a lot of character too. And it's a woman, right? So absolutely beautiful. What can you say about this? I mean, look at the color breakdown. It's so happy. It's so colorful, right? It's just extraordinary. It really is. Anne loves this piece too. Beautiful swirling sky. Love the shapes in the sky. They almost look like ornaments. Joyce says, thank you. So happy to be asked to do this. Oh, I'm so happy that you were too. I'm sure that this is going to be a really popular piece. Is it like an auction, Joyce, or is it like a buy outright kind of a thing? Maybe you said be part of a sale. Maybe the sale is like an auction. I would expect this to do really, really well. I would be bidding aggressively on this, particularly because it's beautiful, number one, and number two, the cause, right? That is something that you don't mind parting with some money for. Absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad that you sent that in. Really, 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 really pretty. And Andrea, you sent some beautiful stuff in too. You wrote, hi Deanna, here's my latest rug, Northern Lights. I love this. I think we saw the beginning of this when you were just starting it. 35 by 23 on Hessian using roving, wool yarn, wool cloth, and cotton blend jumpers. I'm not a big fan of Hessian, not only because of its potential to rot, but also how rough it is to work with. Its saving grace is that it's cheap. Absolutely. That is absolutely its saving grace. I had some left over, and this rug is going on the carpet in our lounge. It's actually the first rug I've ever made for a specific room. Oh, that is fun. John came up with the title as I wasn't sure what to call it. We watched a couple videos on YouTube. We watch a couple on YouTube who live in Svalbard, and they often feature the Northern Lights. So I guess this may have been an influence. After all, there is a lot of movement in this rug and some sparkle in the dark green, which could be the stars. Not sure if the glitter shows up in this photo. You know, it definitely shows up in this photo. It definitely does. I'm looking at the horizontal bars, and on the top left, I can definitely see sparkle. It's really, Andrea, this is really beautiful. The composition is so strong. It has like that 1920s kind of Vogue feel to it. You know, it's not feminine looking either. It has that sort of an animal print quality to it. When you say the Northern Lights, then I can see, or the stars, right? Or that kind of patterning. Absolutely beautiful. Melanie loves the greens and teals. It is an amazing color palette. It's very unexpected, isn't it? I guess my only experience with the Northern Lights is watching Hallmark movies. Isn't that sad? I would love to see them for real, but in the movies there's always like swirls of green where they go, oh, Let's go over here to have like a heartbreaking conversation because we're probably going to have to part ways since that fall festival didn't go very well. And all of a sudden they're standing on the edge of the quilt and they go, oh, look, look. And then the swirl of green behind. Well, that's all I know about the Northern Lights, but and this rug. So absolutely beautiful. I think that you and John picked a great title for this. You wrote, I hadn't intended on binding the edge, and I realized I'd cut the backing too short on one of the long edges. So I had to pull out a few rows in order to get the coverage, and then I fought with the back fraying. Oh man, classic, right? Classic, good times. I've done all of those things too. Joyce said she thinks that that rug was an auction. I hope so, because I think it'll go quite high if it hits an auction. Judy says, oh, I followed that couple a couple of years ago. So magical. Great inspiration. How great is that, Judy? Well, I'm going to have to check that out. I don't know that couple. And Brenda says, love the colors. Yeah, see, everybody's loving the colors. It's so unusual to see, well, a composition like this, a great abstract with this kind of flow. You know, to be honest, it's incredible how well this works because it's not symmetrical. It's not a repeat pattern. It's very irregular. You have shapes of different weight and size, but it is super, super, super well balanced. And part of that is your color, the big sweep of the dark green on the bottom right, and then the smaller at the top left. It's almost like a concentration of the repeat. It's absolutely beautiful. It's really, really different. Really, really stellar. No pun intended. And then you sent some other fun stuff. I think this is a close-up, right? Some of the colors you used. I feel your pain with the border thing, pulling out a row or two, and man, I feel your pain. We've all done that. God, that some of the stupid, not that it was stupid, Andrea, it was not stupid, but I mean, I do plenty of truly stupid stuff. For example, the other day, I laid low for a couple of days earlier this week. The kids, it was 2 days of doctor's appointments, which was very trying. And because, they have you sitting there growing roots in the ground and you're just thinking of all the things that you should be doing. It's very, very tough. But those 2 days I decided to disappear a little bit because I've been worried about finishing my projects for the Magpie Times. And even though I'm sure we have tons of content, I had it in my head that I would do a whole ton of articles and content. And I realized that we don't need all my content, but nonetheless, I want to have some stuff in the magazine. So I was getting to the point where I was thinking, I'm not going to have anything in my own magazine. I mean, it was getting like really stressy. So I thought, let me just take a couple days off. And I worked on hand sewing the Gertrude Jekyll, right? Like the quilt applique thing that I have going. There's a lot of stuff I want to show you right now, including patterns. And I just don't want to spoil it because Magpie will be out soon. And there's a ton of free patterns in there for you. So I don't want to spoil it now, but I've been working on secret stuff that I can't really share. And I have been recording a ton of videos that you'll see when Magpie comes out. So you can see behind the scenes, tons of videos on making decisions, things evolving. But like just on that one project, there's a background that's pieced, right? And the front of it is appliqué, like all of the motifs are appliqué, but the background is pieced, meaning I sewed large chunks together on the sewing machine. Well, I took out the first pieces to make the bottom of the quilt, and I ran them through the sewing machine. And I thought, okay, you sewed it backwards. So my first thought is always like, pretend it didn't happen and just go with it, figure it out. And I thought, no, just do it right. It's going to drive me crazy because it really is facing a certain way. So, I was watching the Mysteries on the Hallmark Channel, and I was a little bit distracted, right? I go right from like Matlock to like Murder, She Wrote to Diagnosis Murder, and distracting. And I took it out. I took all of the wrong stitches out. You know where this is going, with a pair of scissors, right? In my number of like 4.5 glasses. And I went back to the sewing machine, sewed it a second time. You know what? I know you know. I did it exactly the same way, the wrong way again. Except the second time, I stitched it. I noticed that I had done like a long kind of basting stitch, like a number 4 the first time around. I thought, oh, let's not do that. Let's do like more like a 2, between a 2 and a 3. So the stitches the second time were so tight, I couldn't get them out. So then I did one of these, like with a piece of paper. And I have to say, K Facet, you make some very strong material because it did not rip. I mean, I used all of I think I turned green and my shirt half ripped off. but this material did not rip. It was remarkable. So then I had to cut it with the scissors because obviously it couldn't live any longer than it had. But it was just a remarkable waste of time and a real wind up. So believe me, we all have those fun moments with bindings and all of that. Oh, Rita, great to see you. All right, now come back over here. Come back over here because Andrea, you sent a couple more pictures that were really pretty. Next photo you wrote is a crochet topper. Okay, let me see. We got to see the crochet topper. Hang on. Oh, the next photo is a crochet topper on a post box you came across. How fun is that? Isn't that cute? What a funny idea. It's like a different form of yarn bombing, isn't it? Just crochet right the top of the Royal Mailbox. That is so fun. How cute is that? And the last image you sent was, oh, so appropriate. Cheers, my dears. View from our hotel in Newquay, Cornwall. We had an amazing time. I remember you were going away a couple of cocktail nights ago, right? Or more than that, a couple of gallery nights ago. It was right before the holidays, right? Good food and drink, entertainment. We came down in our PJs to open our presents, and we were told we could wear them all day, so we did. Even for Christmas lunch, several people said that they wished that they had thought of it. I even braved the ocean for the Boxing Day dip. Oh, that must be like the polar plunge. Never done anything so daft before, but it was so much fun. Honest. I don't believe you. I'm sorry. I love you, but I don't believe you. That sounds awful, but you survived it, right? Did it feel cold, or did your body just shut down and it like shut down your brain too and you couldn't feel the pain? Because some people stay in the water for quite a long time, and I think I remember people saying when I used to give tours of Yellowstone Park, like if you're in the water, if you're in Yellowstone Lake for 15 minutes, you'll probably die. So I always think about that. It always makes me nervous, but you made it because you're here tonight, and it sounds like it was fun. I believe that it was fun, particularly the part with the drinking in the pajamas. That sounds amazing. It was a beautiful view. Diane, great to see you. Happy Friday. Cheers, my dears. I'll have one more sip. God, I love that stuff. Andrea, I'm glad you and John had such a nice time. It sounds like it was a wonderful Christmas. Very inspiring. And your piece came out incredibly well. Lots of compliments because it is a stellar piece, your Northern Lights. Now I gotta Andrea said first wave was cold, but then you get used to it. Okay. I guess it's the same as in the summer when you go in. It's always cold in the ocean in New England in the summer. And yeah, it's, and you do, once you're in there, you feel a little bit better, right? And I'm more focused on other things, like if a shark is going to get me at that point. So it's like, I'm not really thinking about the temperature anymore, but is that a fin kind of a thing? Barbara says, wondering if Gulf Stream impacts our area or just further north. It impacts that area or just further north. I wonder too. Well, that's like the English Riviera, right? Cornwall is where everybody surfs and stuff. So it's got to be a little warmer than other parts of the English coast, right? I mean, otherwise would people, I don't know. I've never been to Cornwall. That is probably the number one thing on my list, is doing that whole Daphne du Maurier, Agatha Christie, English Riviera thing. That would be such a dream. It looks like an amazing time. And let's come back over here. This is a really beautiful piece by Cindy Miles. Cindy, thank you so much for sending this into Gallery Night. I wonder if you're on tonight. I was so impressed by this. Yellowstone by Cindy Miles, rug hooking with yarn. It is 20 by 24 from a picture my daughter took while on vacation. This is just exquisite. And Cindy, I don't think I've seen any of your pieces before, but if this is sort of a signature piece for you, this is over the top. This brings me right. Have some of you been to Yellowstone and taking the walks over those little planked areas where they've got the paint pots and the springs that are like steaming, and I think there's 3 or 4 different very small geysers there. There's at least 3 water features that are different water features that are in this part of Yellowstone. And some of them, I think all of them, are very, very hot. I think some more than others, because there's tons of signs around that say, you do not go in. And there are horrific stories of people that have gone in because they dropped something or because their dogs, let's not on a Friday night. But it is a beautiful view, like almost a science fiction view, looking at these little water elements. And they are all very, very different. This looks like one of the maybe hot springs or something, because it's not as colorful as one of the paint pots. The paint pots are like super, super colorful, but it seems like one of them that are in that area right there, right near Old Faithful, that area. Really extraordinary. I love the presence of the water element. I love the ground around it, the little trees popping up. I love the sky. I know that you all love the sky too. The sky is just extraordinary. It is so well done. Very graphic look. It looks like it could be, this whole piece looks like it could be a poster, a travel poster for Yellowstone, and should. I love how it's also offset by that little bit of that sagey green in the bottom left-hand corner. That balances so well with the trees. It is a very limited color palette, but look how colorful it is. The white is making a big statement in this piece because the greens and the browns are reading as neutrals. Really, we're seeing the blues and the whites as the really striking colors. The contrast is remarkable considering how much brown is in this. It really is extraordinary. The little froth of white around the water element is really striking. It's just a gorgeous piece. Jessica says I could tell just where this was. I had a fantastic road trip to Yellowstone. Right, Jessica? I mean, it was like, to remember those walkways where there's a whole bunch of these and it says what they each have a name and they are different. Some of them are different elements, right? Because it's in Yellowstone, it's different. That the water elements are named based on what they do, right? So like the geyser, like Old Faithful or any of the geysers at Yellowstone, the reason it's a geyser is because right under the surface, there is water. Like there is water under the surface. That's why there's so many water elements, right? Whether they're the paint pots you find where there's like different stones, right? Different, that create different colors. The water, like it has like a chemical, I don't want to say pH thing because I don't know enough about that, but it's a combination of water, stones, sands that make these beautiful colors for the paint pots. That's one of the elements. And then the geyser is still water. But in the case of the geyser, side note, the water is caught under the ground, under rocks or something, and it's agitated. And that's why it comes up like a crazy spray. That's why, for example, Old Faithful, they can, at least when I was there 10 years ago, you knew like every hour and a half or something it would blow because it was agitated. But over time, that timeline changes. I can't remember if it gets closer together or further apart. But the reason it blows is because there is water underground, but it's agitated and it's blocked. And then it unblocks and it comes shooting straight up. And then there are the other features like the thermal or the hot springs where there is no blockage. So the water is coming right up and it is like deadly, deadly, deadly hot because it's coming from really deep, right? There is a volcano under Yellowstone, which I thought about often when I stayed there every week for 2 nights with my tour groups back in the day. I thought, we are actually staying on a volcano. So all that water is right under there and some of it is trapped, right? In the earth, in the rocks. And other water is freely coming up like a fountain. And then there are pots of water that are stagnant. So it's so interesting to learn about the topography and the geology right there because there's so much to know. And it is nothing like New England. Whole different vocabulary and all of that. Super, super fun. Melanie says Yellowstone was one of my favorite trips. This piece is so beautifully done. It really, you can't think it's any place but Yellowstone, right? Deborah Martin's absolutely gorgeous. So good, isn't it? And Carol Goodrow, good to see you. Love how you capture the perspective. And yeah, let's look at it again. It really is. The perspective is a great thing because this is taken from a photograph. Now, you know how when people take photographs of, for example, the sea, the water, clouds, fireworks, they never come out as pretty as the scene actually is. Well, somehow this one did, right? So I have to put it down to Cindy Miles and her skill and innate talent because it is very hard to capture the beauty, the color, the feel, right? The energy of a place like this. And I have not seen any scenes that are like this, whether it's Yellowstone or somewhere else. I have to say, I can't think of a composition like this that I've seen before that so well captures the feel of the place without being completely photographic. It's so good. It's so good that it's crazy. I would love to see some more of Cindy's pieces. It really, really is different. Has style. All right, Dave, you sent some fun stuff. You always send fun stuff. So you always give us something to think about. Dave wrote, "Hey, Deanna, is it just me, or does everything around you remind you of rug hooking?" It's not you. I have the same, I was going to say problem, but it actually is a pleasure. And so this photo you took at your local coffee shop, and I bet that this gave you a lot of inspiration. It's just the sunflower pattern is so great. It's really striking. And against the white wall and the wooden chairs, it really stands out. It is a great pattern. It definitely would have caught my eye too. But yes, definitely, once you get into the mindset of making, everything that you see, particularly textiles, really they all are inviting, but some of them speak to you in a real particular way, and you think, interesting, I never would have thought of that. I never would have thought of that color combo. There's another one that you sent that had that kind of thing for me. It's this one. So this one you found in an Elle Decor magazine from September 2018, and you said, thought this would make a great border on a rug. Now, I have to agree with that. This is absolutely amazing because it has a little bit of, I want to say, like a Native American or maybe even Aztec feel, a bit of a pyramid feel to it. But it's such light colors, right? It's very, very different. Cindy says colors pop everywhere too. They do. Once you get, oh, Cindy, you are on. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Cindy did the Yellowstone piece that we just looked at, and you are logged on. I'm so glad. It's absolutely extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. So the thing with this kind of a pattern, God, this would make a great rug pattern, wouldn't it? It does remind me more of like a kilim rug, like a woven rug, right? Because of like the alternating stripies. But in rug hooking, this would work so well. And it would be so different to do something like this or incorporate this palette and pattern with the white background. We can definitely see it with the aubergine background, with the navy background, with the brown background, but a white background. Now that is different. Looking at it with a white background, even though there's shapes that I already identify with Native American or South American culture, right? It still strikes me as very, very different because I never see patterns like this on a white background. It really stands out. And the secondary colors, like in the little stripies, right? It goes from like a pink to an orange to a yellow, where it's actually, I think, pink crossing with the yellow, which creates the orange because red and yellow make orange, right? So I think they're just crossing colors. But it really makes you notice all of the different colors that are in there. And it's way more colorful to me because of the white background. It does get me thinking about doing borders or all over compositions where you would use motifs that we already associate with whatever culture, but putting them on a white background, almost like putting them on a laboratory slide and saying, let's just look at them, right? Let's not look at it as a finished composition. We don't need everything to have the same grays and red colors in the background. Let's just look at it broken down with like a negative space behind it, and you really see it differently. You see the shapes differently. Dave said, yeah, refined Santa Fe style. It totally is a Santa Fe style. This could easily be, is Sundance magazine still a thing? Robert Redford's magazine? It seems like the kind of thing that he would like and he would sell there. It really is striking because it has a little bit of an exotic feel to it, but it is very soft, right? It has like a 1920s palette. It's unexpected. It's like worlds colliding. And Dave, I absolutely agree with you. I think we all do. It is so fun. It's a real gift sitting around talking about rugs and patterns and art in general. It's a real gift. We are very privileged people to be able to sit here on Friday night having whatever you're sipping or just sitting there working on your project and talking about art and design. It's a gift, right? We are very lucky. But the more we do it, the more you see, right? And you don't even know that that's happening, but your eyes start to see things differently the more we talk about stuff. Because, for all of the years that I was just a mom and I wasn't really working on projects, I was just, being depressed and trying to tread water. I didn't notice a whole lot, right? Everything was kind of in black and white for me. But once I got going with projects again, and I got thinking about projects and my next project and the one after that, I started to become mentally more of a collector of colors and designs and styles and prints, right? Looking for things to copy and rip off. Oh, I love that, right? And the further you go in that mindset, the more stuff you collect, and I think the better you see. You notice things that you wouldn't have noticed before. Isn't that great? Because it's never too late for that switch to flick in your brain and for you to start to see things different. It's like putting on like some weird Ben Franklin rose-colored, literally rose-colored glasses and going, God, it all looks so different now. It's a real gift. Thank you for sending that, Dave. I love those kinds of conversations. Barbara says, that was what I found striking on the pillow with the deer and the pink and the gold, the ivory white background. It is striking. I have to say, I really feel, I'm always behind, right? The curve, whatever it is. But in rug hooking, black has been the background for so long, and when it wasn't, brown was. And it's like black, brown through the different sort of eras of design and taste. But I have to say, more often now, I'm seeing way more white backgrounds. And it is interesting because, we're not going to argue about whether white is a color or the absence of color, because who cares? It's just language, isn't it? But it is interesting because it reminds me of that moment in the 1950s where suddenly white was a color, not just for hospitals, right? It was actually a color, and people really were doing everything: furniture, walls, exteriors, cars, clothing, shoes, everything in white. And it was really striking and became almost a status symbol, right? Because if you were wearing a lot of white, going way back to the Victorian period, you couldn't get too dirty, right? It would be very noticeable. So white became popular, and it was exciting when it did. It was one of those moments, right? And I think we're having that moment a little bit late in rug hooking, but we are seeing more pure white backgrounds. I don't mean ivory or vanilla or cream. I mean white, right? And that it is interesting. And the fact that you can mix other light colors with white, put them together into a marble cake in the background, that is exciting. Whatever your color palette is, it might not be pinks, but you can finagle definitely white going toward icy blues and icy periwinkle purples, right? You could absolutely do that. But it is fun to detect it. Pam says, to me, white becomes a color because there are so many values. It really does, and it's always an interesting thing to see the same pattern. For example, whether it's a sweater or a rug on a black ground and on a white ground, because or if a T-shirt, when you buy T-shirts online and you see the motif and then it lets you click on the different background colors, it's like, well, the forest green is never going to work because I can't even see like the picture anymore. And you usually end up with colors that are really extreme, right? So you can really see the pattern that you chose. But it usually comes down to one or two, right? And they're usually quite different. So you see something in white and you see it in black, and almost 100% of the time you say to yourself, it's definitely better in one or the other. No question, right? If something works really well with a white ground, it probably doesn't work that well with a black ground, and vice versa, just composition-wise and in terms of weight. But it is an interesting conversation. It is something to look out for. And I love that bed covering. That brought up a lot of great thoughts. My mom says, artists' eyes are such a gift. We are blessed to see the world in ways that other people do not. That is so true. That is so true. And Barbara says, I feel a bit more pressure to hook neater when using a white ivory background. You see all the individual loops. Well, you do see the individual loops, but, again, I'll just remind you to enable, right, to the end of like enabling, even though you can see the loops better in white, right? They don't kind of fade out like they would with black. They don't blend. We're never that close to a rug as we are when we're making it, right? Even if it's not on the floor, you're putting it on the wall, you really don't go, right? You can see the shape of them and you can see the direction of them, and depending on how wide they are, it gives an impression, right? That isn't there if it's black and your eye just can't pick out the separate loops. It can with the white. But I think we are too hard on ourselves when we're working on a project, because you look at it and you think, well, that's really obvious, or that really stands out. and then you have it on the wall and it's literally right there, and your face just isn't that close to it anymore, and it really doesn't stand out that much anymore. I find that more often than not. But at the same time, if you're working on a piece and something about you, something is bugging you, you also have to honor that, right? Because whether it's really there or not, if it's in here, it's going to be a problem, isn't it? That's the same for all of us. It doesn't matter if I see it or not. If you see it and it drives you crazy, it's going to be a problem. Oh, dear. Let's see. Dave says black and white tiles, 50s diner, cream, limestone, black onyx, Tudor, major. I love it when you do this stream of consciousness thing. You are so good at that. Dave said, my thought regarding floor tiles. Yeah, you know, there is something to be said for that Tudor chessboard kind of a thing, right? Elizabethan. Really, really striking. There's a reason why some of these patterns will never leave us, because they are so eternally striking. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to look at. Speaking of fun, Anne, you are the eternally fun. There's no doubt about that. You're funky chicken. This was a challenge project with my hooking group in Florida. And did you just do this? I mean, you just got to Florida. Like, you just got to Florida. Had to use a handful of secret given strips somewhere in the pattern. Did a chain stitch around her wing and added a beaded ankle bracelet. Also found silly coordinating backing fabric for the pillow. And you are too much. So the secret strips, it was just a handful of secret strips. Oh, last year. Okay, I was going to say, for God's sake, how is it possible? This is so, and the secret strips were the ones that you put into her wing. The purples and the red and the orange, yellow, pink, because those are really bright colors. That must have been a bit of a challenge. Now, you didn't have to do a bird. It was just like, just use the strips. That is the challenge. That really is an exceptional piece. You always do fun, funky stuff. I love her Prati, right? She's got a lot of bling going. I love her tights and her red shoes, right? Her little Dorothy shoes under there. That is really clever. I love the eyelashes. I mean, this is just a beautiful, dolled up little bird. She is absolutely gorgeous. I think we have a few more photos. Yeah. Those are the secret strips, I think. And I know that you have a great stash. So you were able to pull more colors. You did a lot of smart stuff with color. I like how you did the gray. The background of the wing is more of a green gray, isn't it? It's not the charcoal gray of the background. Okay, so you all had the bird pattern. It just became a question of where to kind of embed your secret strips. Did everybody have the same color secret strips, I wonder? That green looks braided. Oh, it is braided, Andrea. You're right. Gosh, it is braided. And did you do that by pulling them through and braiding them on the surface as you went? As opposed to, did you pull them through, work them into a braid and pull them back under, then pull them up again, work them into a braid, pull them back under? Or did you make a braid and apply it? You probably didn't do that. You probably did the fancy surface stitch, right? Same pattern for everyone. My mom says, truly a funky chicken, a beauty. And Lisa says, such a colorful little bird. It is a real challenge because those colors are definitely not for everyone. But I do like how you neutralized it. You hit the gas on some parts of it, like you repeated the yellow tone, the purple tone, the tomato tone. But you added the nice grays, which kind of neutralize it, and that nice stony blue. So I feel like that was really, really smart. Love the braid. Everybody's loving on the braid. No, all different. The braid was learned from a fancy stitches class. It is fancy. It looks fantastic, and it's really striking. Love those little shoes. I see the anklet now. I see the little beaded anklet. What a little sweetheart. So funny. And then the back. You did find a cool fabric for the back. Oh, okay. So Anne, was the backing fabric the inspiration? Did you add those little legs with the shoes? Was it just a regular bird for everyone else, but your bird went bonkers with the shoes and the little anklet? I love the shoes and the socks, Kathy says. God, they're so cute. They are so cute. I bet. Yes, and of course, God, do I know you or what? The socks are great. So you saw the, let's come back over here. You saw the backing fabric that you knew you would use for the back, and you got the idea to add the shoes and the socks. Of course you did. Of course you did. You're brilliant. That is such a fun piece. I absolutely love this piece. That is so, so super sweet. Really well done. And have you met with your group in Florida yet since you've been down there? And is there another challenge planned? I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if you've got something going for now too. Just being nosy. Now, Kaz. Oh, Kaz, you sent some fun stuff too. Holy mackerel. Okay, so Kaz wrote, let me make sure. Yes, Kaz wrote, Kaz is also one of my particular friends. I have a lot of particular friends on. Anne is also one of my particular friends. Very lucky to have so many talented friends, and many of whom I've met in person, which is my great gift. To be that lucky. But Kaz wrote and said, Kaz is in Wisconsin. Good morning, Deanna. I wanted to finish the edge before sending this pic, but I wasn't sure if I could work on it this week. So this is a kit. Oh, yep. This is a kit from Laura Berlage's Zoom class. Laura is from Hayward, Wisconsin. The background is done with a size 14 Oxford punching needle. The mane and the body are size 13. We learned a lot about the history and art of unicorns. Well, how fun is that? It will be a wall hanging for my Celtic theme bedroom. So Kaz, I don't think Kaz is on, but I've been to Kaz's house and I've stayed in Kaz's house. I didn't realize she was doing a Celtic theme in her bedroom. That is really, her bedroom is very, very large. There's lots of nooks to Celtic up. This is absolutely beautiful. I'm thinking this would be great for the second issue of Magpie Times. The theme is Midsummer Magic. It does have a bit of a magical feel, at least, doesn't it? Now, this is just absolutely beautiful. I love the colors. I love the swirls. It makes, using a unicorn, right, with the thought of Celtic art, all of that myth, all of that history, all of that storytelling, beautiful. It reminds me of the Irish Rovers song, The Unicorn, right? How did that song go? Oh, wait. But the loveliest of all was the unicorn. Do you know that song? I forget how the verses go, but yeah. Anyway, I'm sure you know the song The Unicorn. It really reminds me of that song. I'm going to have to listen to the Irish Rovers tonight. Shading is absolutely beautiful. Juliet says, love the shading in the knotwork. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I love the gray outlining too. Really fun. Lots of energy. The eye is really well done too, right? Because he doesn't look cartoony. He looks really regal. The little tuft of whatever, the little goatee, right? That must be a goatee. And it doesn't strike me as a cutesy unicorn, right? It's really, really a good stout unicorn. Very solid. Good solid lines. It has that very strong Celtic flair. Feels almost like an illumination. It's absolutely striking. And I hope Kaz doesn't mind me sharing this next thing. But I wrote to Kaz. We have a thread going with the girls in Wisconsin. So I wrote not that long ago because I was on Facebook Marketplace and I pulled up this beautiful yarn tree. It reminded me of you, Juliet. And I thought, oh, it's mine. It's going to be mine. And I was about to type in, is this still available? And then I realized it was in Wisconsin. So I thought, all right. So I said, all right, well, let me forward the link to my girls in Wisconsin because somebody might need a yarn tree. Sure enough, Kaz needed a yarn tree with that big bedroom that she's got. So I sent it to the group and Kaz said, if everybody's so polite, if anyone else doesn't want it, I would love to have the yarn tree. And it was like, oh no, it's all you. But it was a little ways away and Kaz has got a tiny little car. And so Robin said, well, let me come and get you and we'll go pick it up and we'll, make a day of it and have some fun. And I thought, oh man, I wish I was over there to hop in. Probably no room if my butt was in there, no room for the yarn tree. But so they took a road trip and they went to get the yarn tree. And I was very, very happy that they did because it was a bargain. I can't remember how much it was, but it was a beautiful thing. And she immediately started filling it up with her cones of yarn. So she's going to need another yarn tree really soon. But I thought it was just beautiful. And leave it to Kaz. The luck of Kaz is incredible. When she was there, she happened to pick these up too because the woman had them and she didn't want them. I mean, seriously, 2 frames. One of them clips onto a floor frame. But I was like, you've got to be kidding me. She's so lucky. She finds such fun things. Jessica, your dad used to sing the unicorn song to you and your sister all the time. Oh, that is so fun. Oh, I love that. We used to listen to the whole. My dad loved the Irish Rovers. I'm not sure they were actually Irish. I know Irish people in Ireland do not like the Irish Rovers. It's considered like very lowbrow and not the real deal. But I mean, I grew up on the Irish Rovers, so I love My Old Man's a Dustman, and you know, all of their stupid. There's the stupider the song, the more I loved the song. But my dad used to play it constantly, just the stack of the Irish Rovers on the record player. And as soon as it got to the end, the next one would drop, right? And it would start the next one. So good. So good. Melanie says, cats and rats and elephants. Yes, that's it. That is. Oh, I love that song. Oh, cats and rats and elephants, but sure as you're born. The loveliest of all was the unicorn. Okay, I'm stopping because they do the stupid voice. So, yeah, it is what it is. I love it. And Barbara said something, something long neckies. Uh, and some chimpanzees. Oh, I can't get the beginning. No, we're all going to be, I'm sorry. I put the curse on you. We're all going to have this song locked in our head probably all weekend. My mom says, I love the wind that shakes the corn. That was the sad one. Wasn't that the sad one where she might have died in the guy's arms? I feel like that might have been the sad one. Beautiful, though. Oh, no, that was the Black Velvet Band, wasn't it? Gosh, I don't think that all of the songs they sang were actually their songs. I don't know that any of them were. But they were quite lively songs, weren't they? Um, Tommy, Tommy Mackham is from Dover, New Hampshire. Is he one of the members of the band, Kathy? Oh man, that is exciting. That's an exciting lead. Green alligators and long. Oh, Diane, thank you. It's green alligators. Thank you. It totally is. Thank you. Okay, so I think we're all going to be listening to the Unicorn song after. It is a great song. And talk about cross inspiration. Because when I think of that Unicorn song, it makes me think of like, not necessarily the Unicorn tapestry, but the other tapestries with tons of animals, right? Like just teeming, like the landscape teeming with animals and bushes. And, you know, beautiful. A bit of a Noah's Ark theme too, right? It is a sad song though. How funny. You all know that song. You're born, don't you? Sure as you're born, don't you forget my unicorns. That's what God said, right? When he was telling him to collect all of the animals. But the unicorns were playing, playing silly games. Okay, I'm stopping. I'm stopping. Because those of you that don't know what we're talking about, you're going, what is wrong with you? Are you possessed? Do we need an exorcism? Maybe. Maybe we do. The wind that shakes the barley, about an Irish revel. Oh, that's right. Black Velvet Band is the one where I think bullet comes through the field. Oh man. See, this is the thing. Like this connects, I feel, to what we were talking about earlier with maybe it's just generational stuff. Like all of those songs, all of that storytelling. I just don't hear that in today's music. I just don't hear that storytelling. Things don't visually hit me and stick with me in a way that, you know, is anything but like, I like big butts and a cat, you know, like there's just not that layer of interest for me. It just doesn't exist these days. I don't know what's up. All right, I am stopping. Let's keep going because we've got some more beautiful stuff to look at. I had better stuff. You all got me going. You have to admit, you got me going there. All right. Now, Kathy sent this in last week, I think. And I said to her, Kathy Pastore, she always does absolutely beautiful primitives. And she sent it in and I said, Kathy, you know what? I already have it in the show because I just love her stuff. I just love her stuff. So this is one of Kathy's latest. I think this is her last project, Winter Scene. This is an antique adaptation by Woolen Memories with only 3 colors. This was by far my most difficult rug because of all the shades with just the 3 colors. So it doesn't mean that there's just 3 colors. It means that there's white, dark brown, maybe a yellowy color, or gray. No, white, dark brown, and gray. So let's say brown because it's light and dark brown. But it's very, very hard to stretch colors this far. So, oh, Pam, you said Black Velvet Band always made me cry. It is super, super sad, but also romantic. Isn't it also romantic? Oh, what about years may come, da 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 da, years may go. Oh, wasn't that the Irish Rovers too? Some will last. Oh, God, I need to listen to the whole record. See, creams and whites, and it reads as white. Yep, it does. It's a mixture of whites. And yeah, we've got vanilla cream, we've got white, we've got a chamois, we've got a bunch of variations on white. And together they do read as white. But you can see she really sort of localized the darker whites to fill in the house. And Melissa says, I've been watching the progress on this one and love it. It's fiddly. I can see how this would be fiddly because it'd be so tempting to reach for another color to do some problem solving. But she really stuck with it. She stuck with the three color, whether she sort of self-imposed rule or what, or whether she was following a plan. But it really is striking. It's great to have seen this through because it really made for a really striking piece with such an antique feel to it. I love the sort of formulaic placement of the stars in the sky too, like they're equidistant from each other, or the flakes are just, whether they're, I guess they're snowflakes, not stars, but they are coming down. Oh, maybe that was the pattern. I think that was the pattern. So she was trying to work, oh, of course, it's not a pattern, it's an antique rug, right? Remember she said this is an adaptation of an antique rug by Wool and Memory. So this must have been the original rug. It really is striking. My mom says song lyrics are great inspiration for an artist. They bring such visuals. They do. Music crosses so well with visuals, doesn't it? I mean, looking at something and thinking of a song, or just those two things can't be separated. Really, really. And Barbara says this is so calming. It really is. It's just a gorgeous piece. Let's look at it one more time. Just a gorgeous piece. I actually like this piece more than the original. It is a really striking piece. Kathy, you did so well. If we get to the end, which I don't think we will, we could see the project that Kathy's working on currently. Now, Karen sent this piece, and Karen's working on this gorgeous piece. This is an original design. 12 by, this can't be right, 12 by 24. Can that be right? Yeah, I guess that could be right. 12 by 24. Hit or miss pattern using 3 and 4 cut worms. It's called Sunrise in the Garden. I'm missing the end, but I think it's in the garden. Sunrise in the Garden. Absolutely beautiful. And I remember when Karen Garby, I remember when Karen was working on this, she wrote, oh, I'm really surprised at how much I'm enjoying doing this. And seeing, this has like sort of an Alhambra kind of feel to it, right? A bit of a mosaic-y, tiley feel to it. Really, really atmospheric. A great play between dark and light. All of the lights and brights go in the background. All of the darks and brights go in the background. All of the lights come to the front, or vice versa. And it works great that way. Now, if you were to cut one little stencil piece, right, create the grid, boom, get the grid in place, and then you're just positioning as you go, whether you do it on graph paper, you're just working straight onto your backing. This is a great pattern to work straight onto your backing. This reminds me of Pearl McGowan saying in The Dreams That Lie Beneath, about moving that postcard. I bring this up a lot because to me this is one of the defining moments of the craft, was Pearl McGowan figuring out that if she, just like people before her had done, if she took a little postcard and nudged it against the backing X amount of rows or threads, right, she's working on burlap, she could create a repeat pattern that was very geometric, very precise, and very correct. So you can still do that, whether it's with stencils or just drawing or freehand. But the way that Karen was working on this, it looked very organic. It looked like it was just coming together in a very natural and impulsive way. Even though there was a color plan, not very many rules, right? The motifs are light and the background is dark. Right? That's just about the right amount of rules in my mind. But absolutely exquisite piece. I was very happy to see this. Karen, you killed it. You hit it out of the park with this one. This is just beautiful. Now, one of the projects that we have going on, I don't know if you've seen this yet in our Facebook group. Not everybody's on Facebook, I know. Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. My good friend Jean Coates, who does the rug exchanges, put together a new challenge based on a pattern I have that's called the Spirit of Gee's Bend. I drew a pattern out after I went to the Gee's Bend exhibit with my mom at the Currier Museum, not Currier Knives, Currier Museum in, I think it was Manchester, New Hampshire. And they had maybe like 8 Gee's Bend quilts, but I'd seen them, but not in person. So it was the first time I'd seen them in person. I was super inspired. And I went home and I drew a pattern that became a free pattern like the same day. I was bus sick that day. Remember, Mama, I was super sick. We took a bus trip with some of the other ladies from the church or something, and I was super, super sick. But after that passed, I sat down and channeled what I had seen and drew a pattern called the Spirit of Gee's Bend, which is not appropriating Gee's Bend. I am also a quilter, and it's based on the crooked lines and wonky geometry of the Gee's Bend quilters. So I immediately put the pattern for free into the ribbon candy hooking store, and then a year or two went by and Jean found it and said, we'd like to use this pattern for like our next challenge where a whole bunch of us are going to get together and hook this Gee's Bend pattern. I think the deadline, I'm not doing the challenge. Well, I might do the challenge if things loosen up. If I can get Magpie out, I might do the Gee's Bend challenge, but I feel like the deadline is June or something. Does anybody know if that's right? I also joined Jean's page, which is Gee's Bend Fiber Art Project. So I took a little detour into the page to look at some of the projects people are working on right now, because honestly, it's a free pattern in the Ribbon Candy Hooking Store. I'm going to say about 100 to 120 people downloaded it as a free pattern. It's still there for you. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in a second, but it's still there for you. And I have a link to the pattern in the body, the description of this video tonight. So a ton of people downloaded it. And I'm going to say another at least 30 or 40 people ordered it on backing fabric or transfer medium. A lot of people in Canada ordered it on transfer medium. So a lot of people are working on it. So I took a little rabbit hole detour. June 15th. Thank you, Barbara. That's what I thought. I was scared to say it because I thought, oh man, I wonder if it's like next week and I'm going to get everybody going. So for example, I was looking at some of the current ones because I didn't have a chance to go all the way down, and I haven't been online a ton lately. But my buddy Colleen is working on this one, and she said, I must say this project so far has challenged, surprised, and now taken me to a magical place. The challenge is, as I promised myself, I would only use the recycled wool cloth I had collected and been given by friends and family. By the way, Colleen's in Canada, so I think she either downloaded it or had the transfer pattern. So I'm not sure of this. Well, it could be the 12 by 18 if it's the transfer pattern. I can't remember how she got it. But with Canada, it's hard because the shipping is so expensive. So that's why the free download is so great. You don't have to deal with the shipping if you're comfortable transferring it onto her backing, which she has done here. And then you can make it really whatever size you want, So she wrote, the challenge is the colors, although bright, are not ones that I normally mix. The surprise is how much calmness it has brought just laying colors together to see if I can make it work. The magic is that yesterday, as I was latch hooking the white wool strips, she's got it onto latch. She's got it onto latch backing. I think she's got it onto latch. Do you think? Magic was yesterday as I was latch hooking the white wool strips. She might have it on cloth backing and just like Karen Garby did, just be using the latch hook for that one area, because you can latch into linen or, monk's cloth. I think it would be tight, but on linen you can use a latch hook and get the same pile. Crazy, right? Hooking the wool strips, I realized latch hooking the wool strips, I needed to approach it as a child would with a box of crayons. I never worried what colors I was putting beside each other. I just colored. I hope you are all enjoying the project as much as I am. And she put a heart. And you can see it's going very, very well. I think that was just today or yesterday she posted that. And Valerie wrote, I am thankful for a sunny day today, because she was just taking hers and just now transferring it onto the backing. So she's got her pattern piece pinned up to the window and she's transferring it onto her cloth background. There's tons of time until June 15th. So she's getting going on hers. Kim Cesar, this is another beautiful version of it. Kim wrote, just learned that a quilt guild near me is hosting a Gee's Bend talk in February. Crazy. Anyway, this project has been so much fun. I agree with others that this is like a coloring with crayons. I'm a little more than halfway through. It's looking absolutely fantastic, isn't it? and on the bottom right, right? So she's punching, so this is reversed, but on the bottom right, you see how she turned it into a tic-tac-toe board? That isn't part of the pattern. That is something that Kim is doing that's special. So making each person making it their own, which is such a lot of fun. This piece is by Steph Cookman, and and she wrote, "I'm making my way through this using wool yarn and wool fabric. I started off thinking I'd use all tapestry wool yarn to challenge myself. I prefer wool fabric, so I decided rather than dread working on it, I'd do both. Give some challenge to use the yarn. Also challenge myself to not hook in straight lines. That's the thing. This pattern is not straight. You could straighten it if it drives you crazy, but the spirit of it and the joy of it is that it's not straight, right? That's the thing. That's the tricky thing. That's easy to do with quilting, right? With rug making on a woven background with clear ups and downs, it's a little bit harder. You have to force yourself to jump lines, to jump over. And it doesn't feel right, but you have to get to peace with it. Veronica says it looks so nice punched. It did. All of these versions have their own special flavor, don't they? Steph said, the colors came about since these are the yarn colors that I have. I match the wool fabric as close to the yarn as I can. I have a large stash. I don't have to dye, so I don't have to dye too much to match. I'm sorry. I put some silk yarn in there just for fun. I'm hooking during Tuesday's Ribbon Candy Hooking Zoom. Oh, how fun with Kirsten. That gives me dedicated time to work. I hope that it can be done by the end of February. Oh, absolutely it can. You're like 60% done at this point. That is absolutely beautiful. Another beauty, and this one is by Barbara. This is yours. You're getting yourself going with this. It seems like Barbara Cornish. Seems like we've all been anxious to at least get a plan in place for our Spirit of G-Span patterns. I had planned on waiting a bit while I finished a few current projects, but the excitement is obviously contagious. Today I grabbed a couple of deconstructed skirts in various shades of off-white. Then I picked some of my favorite silk ties for transfer dyeing. I love how they came out. And yes, this is white wool with silk tie dyeing. Yes, it is. And I said the same thing to Barbara. Are you kidding me? How did yours come out so good? I said, I'm so jealous. These are just over the top beautiful, aren't they? So at least for now, my vision is creating the look of scraps of vintage house/day dresses. I think that is the thing, isn't it? Those little cobbler tops, right, back in the day. I love the color palette. It's really, really warm. I have to say, these are the prettiest transfer ties I've seen. These are prettier than any that I've ever gotten done. I can't wait to see what you do next. And you work really fast. So time really is not a great thing. My mom said, great design. I love seeing the differences in color choices and the ways of working. It's a great project, isn't it? It really is. I want to go in and look at this whole page, the G-Span Fiber Project. And this one is by Anne Marie McLaughlin. And she wrote, hello all. It has been fascinating watching everyone's process over the last few weeks. Very instructive. I don't have much process, but I have really enjoyed doing this rug and learning about the community of artists at G's Bend. I chose to use leftover t-shirt material from an earlier project. I wish I had ordered a larger size, but I'm pretty pleased with this. I need to research whether or not you block t-shirt material. I have a feeling no, it is a no, but advice appreciated. I should add that outlining is yarn in black and red. Oh, interesting. I see black and red, and the rest is t-shirts. I look forward to seeing others' interpretations. How fun is that? So this piece is already finished. Now I'm just going to say it again because June is miles away, miles to go before you sleep. So, you know, you could download the G-Span pattern. You could order the G-Span pattern if you want to. If you order the G-Span pattern, I get it out same day or next day. I get it out immediately. I have them all in the barrister's bookcase in the dining room, and I just immediately do them because I know it's a timed thing and it's fast. This is a very fast pattern for me to put onto whatever backing you choose. You could also download it and do it as a mini punch. You could do it as a quilt pattern. There's so many things that you could do with this pattern. So don't think just because other people have started that you missed the boat. You definitely didn't miss the boat. June? It's January. You definitely didn't miss the boat. If you plan to do like a dozen of them, you should get started. But if you just want to jump in, you can jump in anytime. And the link for the G's Bend product, the free pattern, and then if you want a hard copy from me and you don't want to do the tracing yourself, the link to that again is in the description of this video. It's something to think about because people are having a lot of fun on that page comparing notes and learning. And Judy says, oh, this one makes me think of a row of bright painted row houses. Oh, I bet. Let's see. You know, it does have that feel, doesn't it? Oh, it does have that feel. I love the outlining. It's got, this reminds me, so many things remind me of Swatch watches, but this really, really does. What a lot of fun. Now, Barbara, funny, there's lots of give and take in this group, but first time I saw Anne's name when she said hello and was when she said hello and she was done. Everybody works at different paces, right? And one of the sizes for this is 12. One of the sizes I do is 12 by 18. So that's quite small, you know. And depending on how much time you have to fool around and depending on what your cut is and what you're using, you know, depending on whether you want to do all of the details, right? This is interpretive and you get to do it however you want. It doesn't even have a right side up. It really doesn't. So everybody's doing it different ways. Take a look at the G-Spend Fiber Project. It really is an inspiring Facebook group. And a huge shout out and thank you to Jean. She does so many great group projects. She takes the reins with so much stuff. And so many people are benefiting from being part of a group and having a page like this set up where you can look at each other's work and techniques and so much sharing. It's just absolutely fantastic. And speaking of sharing, Barbara, you are incredible. You post some amazing stuff. I noticed, okay, so I was looking for content for this episode, and I noticed that Barbara posted this in the G-Spend group, and I thought, this is absolutely fantastic. Wait till you hear all these nuggets of amazing tips and tricks here. So Barbara wrote, I was asked for some instructions on how to attach a small hooked mat to an art canvas. I'll share how I go about it, but there's lots of ways, so anyone else here is welcome to pop in. You know what? I just had an idea. I'm sorry. I just had an idea. Barbara, I'm thinking, because I haven't finished the tips and tricks yet. Spoiler alert. I'm saving that for Monday's episode because I have to conclude the tips and tricks. I'm going to do that whole... Barbara put the most extraordinary tutorial for finishing a piece like that. That is based on the G-Spend, right? We're gonna save that. And there were green alligators, and we'll talk about that on Monday because that'll be great. I'm gonna put the sheet. Let me put it off to the side so I don't forget. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that on Monday with the tips and tricks because it is an extraordinary tutorial for framing, well, for mounting a piece, and extremely helpful. That's going to fit into tips and tricks. And Barbara, I pulled off something of yours today from our Facebook group. So hold on. Let me come past that. And that's what I wanted. I saw you posted this today. I hope it's okay that I used it because I thought it was so funny. So you wrote, I'm totally on board with the feeling of envy followed by annoyance when someone posts about an amazing deal they snagged at a local yard sale, charity shop, etc. Why don't I find these great things? This isn't exactly that post, but apologies in advance if it's equally annoying. We're out on Wednesday afternoon and hubby wants to stop at a local charity shop. I didn't want to go in because I needed nothing. Come on, you weren't going to just sit in the car at a charity shop, were you? I needed nothing and always leave with something. Well, yes, amen to that. Wednesday something was the sweet floral mat that looks like it's been packed away for about 50 years. Absolutely. That is absolutely precious. That looks like one of those Canadian souvenirs, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like it should say Chetty Camp on the back, like the little table mats and stuff, little coaster things? That's absolutely what that looks like. It was 99 cents. Thursday, we needed to stop in the car dealership an hour from our home, and that only took 5 minutes. So you guessed it. Hubby says, let's pop into our favorite charity store next door. Thursday, something that I didn't need but left with was a bag of wool skeins for $2.52. Fantastic. Now back home, and it's pretty clear, I'll be doing a little floral mat in the near future. Almost every color in the vintage mat is in the bag. See, that is serendipity. That is the universe working overtime to tell you you should be picking up all of these little treasures that all mean something. It's going to go full circle. Do things find us or do we find things? Could be as simple as certain colors draw us in. Who knows? Have a great weekend, everyone. Barbara, that is so nice. That is so nice. I love this story. I love how you found this. I love the colors too, Cindy. It's so springy. It's perfect for this time of year. Really, really sweet. What a fun post. Post got sidetracked and Chetty Camp stole the show, not the serendipity. Well, they're all beautiful and they certainly go together well. But that little mat is just precious. It's just precious. I found this as well in our on our Facebook page, Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club. Brenda Dixon posted this and wrote, large piece I have had for a long time and I decided to work on. Does anyone recognize this pattern? And can anybody tell me who the artist is? No markings on the burlap. So I couldn't tell from the post whether she bought it started or what. But Brenda was asking in the post, it's on burlap and it's not marked, if anybody knew who the pattern was. And Sherry, I think it was you who ended up saying it was the Yankee Peddler pattern called Tree of Birds. Now, I could not find that specific pattern online, wah, wah, but it is definitely, we've seen this one before. This is a fantastic pattern, Yankee Peddler, Tree of Birds. So that was great to hear the solution to that. I can't wait to see how this evolves. It is a gorgeous piece. But I did have to type in Tree of Birds for tonight to see if I could find what we were looking for, and I didn't find it, but I found this beautiful circa 1900 rug, right? So this is presumably an antique rug, and I thought, what a beautiful rug to copy, right? If this is indeed a 1900 rug, it's absolutely copyable. So absolutely beautiful. I just had to show it to you. It's one of these classic older rugs. It has a little bit of a Magdalena feel because we got birds stealing the little cherries or berries. It reminds me of that board game I used to play with the kids called Hi-Ho Cherry-O. Do you know? Remember that one with the little cherry trees and they had little sort of depressions in the board inside the box where you had little baskets and you'd fill it with little apples or cherries or whatever. I guess cherries. Cherry-O. But so pretty, and you see how some of the birds are flying away, stealing little berries, and it's just such a charming piece. And the stepped quality of the tree, almost like a ladder, gives you places to put birds, whether you wanted to sort of adapt the pattern. I love the circular feel of the tree. It's very bare, which gives you the impression that the birds have been feasting, having a grand old picnic off of this tree, because it's a quite bare tree, but it's a beautiful soft silhouette, again on a nice light background. You can see at the bottom, either they had blue and they thought, let's have a blue sky, or they ran out of blue immediately because it was a first rug maybe and they didn't realize their blue was not going to go very far, or they started doing blue and they realized it was going to be too much with the tree. It would be too hard to see the tree, or any combo of those things, right? Any combo of those things. It's funny that they didn't pull the blue out. It might be that they ran out of white, right? Interesting. This rug brings up more questions than it answers. But I think it's absolutely beautiful. Andrea says, I may have seen the birds pattern on Lizanne's YouTube door mill. Do you mean this one, Andrea, or the Yankee Peddler one? Interesting. I wonder if it's this one. That would be a bummer. I love this pattern and I want to do it. And if I do it, she's going to see that I did it. But I love, love, love this pattern. What I mostly love about it, to be honest, the Yankee one. Okay, thanks, Andrea. What I mostly love is the way that they ran out of the materials, right? That is so funny. And the different colors of the birds. It's just so sweet. And the little red border, very fine little red border. It really is beautiful. I have more. Okay, let's just do a couple more quick, and then I want to save a little bit. Let's see how far we get, because I know some of you just logged on, so I'm going to hang out for a little while longer. Pam, you have been doing such pretty work. I am so excited that you've been painting magpies. It really inspires me because I am tired. I'm tired. I'm trying to keep going with everything on every front. All the 4 burners are just full blast all the time, boiling over. And I keep thinking about Magpie Times as being our great project. And I hope that this is a periodical that is going to take us for all of time. Right? I want, when I die, and hope it's really a long time from now, I want that magazine to still be thriving and there to be new generations of people submitting to it. I want this to be ours forever. And I'm very excited about it, but I do get tired. And when you make your beautiful paintings like this one of magpies, it really reignites my energy for the project. I have to say, really, I don't always log on and say thank you for doing that, because sometimes I see stuff on my phone and I just give it the love, but I do love it, and I love you, and I really appreciate the energy, the sustained energy, and you're bringing your talent to the project. So you wrote, Deanna and Judy have me painting magpies in watercolor. This one goes in the file for a possible inclusion in a rug one day. Watercolor note card. I still have to clean up the obvious pencil lines. Well, I just love it. You've got that little body, right? That little shape. You have such a way. I need to breathe. I know. My legacy, but yeah, I hope so, but all of ours. I hope that we have the same people contributing issue after issue. I just hope it goes on and on and on, and that all of the voices are heard, not just, like making a selection for celebration, like I choose you, I choose you, I choose you. And the people who don't get chosen don't get any sort of feedback on why they weren't chosen. It's just like, it is what it is. And you can say whatever you want about it, and not everybody can be in every publication, particularly ones that are like juried in that way. But with this publication, Judy and I are like, if people want to be in it and you want to put your work in it, then you're going to be in it. That's how this is going to work. Everybody does beautiful work, and there isn't a single thing that people send in either to gallery night here or puts on our Facebook page that doesn't have merit. There's not one piece I've ever seen that, okay, some pieces that kind of come in that are like copyrighted characters that slipped in somehow that shouldn't be there, that I immediately remove because we don't want to get in trouble for obvious copyright infringement of known characters. Sometimes those get on my nerves, but actual work, right? Actual punching, hooking work, all of it has merit. There's something to say about all of it. It's all special, and it's all has a special flavor of its maker, and it all deserves to be seen by other people. So Judy and I feel exactly the same way on that subject. So this magazine will always be something that we can all share. And, hopefully we bump it up to putting it out bi-monthly and eventually monthly, so that if there is more content, more people are wanting to put stuff into it, that we will always have the pages to accommodate that. Because even if some of the content eventually is just digital or online or accompanies whatever, but we're going to figure it out so that all of the content that people send us will be seen. Because and I know from these gallery nights that everything is special, everything is worth taking a second look at, everything is worth talking about it. There's no question about that. It's all of our legacy. And I'm so happy that we're finally getting it done. Thank God for Judy. Thank God for Judy, because I could not do this without her. Her laying the magazine out and figuring out the printing part of it. It would be another 10 years before I could do it if I had to do it myself. I'd have to survive that long, right, with all of the stress. But with her in my life, things have become a lot easier. Pam, this is so beautiful. Thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, Valerie, you sent a beautiful, well, you know what? I don't know if you sent it or if I poached it, but Valerie, this piece is so beautiful. You wrote, all done and whipped, beach time, designed and hooked by me, mostly recycled, number 6 cuts. This really spoke to me because it's such a great personal piece. It's a gorgeous piece. You've got a lot of compliments on this thread on that beautiful rope border. That really is extraordinary. I just love the story of it looks a bit like a wintry beach, but beautiful setup, right? You got the towel out, the umbrella, ready for some fun, ready for some sun, and the plane flying by with the advertisement. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. I love Kelly Smith Designs. Emily says, I also love Kelly Smith Designs. And I think Kelly is on right now with her husband. I love Kelly's designs. So pretty. So pretty. Valerie, this is really, really great. Really well done. I just love the rounded edges. I love the border. It has a real souvenir postcard quality, which is a good thing. And I'm seeing like the lifeguard stands, right? It's a very familiar landscape. It's a great storytelling piece. The colors make me really anxious and impatient for warmer weather. It's just gorgeous. It has that another sort of celebration rug. So it has a celebratory quality, doesn't it? It feels like a postcard to me. Like, join me here. Watch this spot. It'll just be a few more months. Kathy says, Dolly's, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Is that the name of the beach, Dolly's? I saw it, but I didn't know what it was an ad for. But that, Kathy, that makes a lot of sense. Rehoboth Beach is Delaware, yeah? And Dolly's is one of the beaches there. Interesting. Oh, see, you all are so good. That border is so sweet, Judy says. So sweet. It's a great piece. It's such a fun piece. Did Dolly's used to have, I feel like one of the, no, who was it? I feel like one of the, we probably won't, Barbara, okay, wait a minute. Barbara, it was the book. It was the Rug Hooking Magazine book about, storytelling. Remember, we did at least one Coffee Time episode, and the book had a bunch of different rug hooking artists who definitely had storytelling in the cover. Published by Ampry Press, Rug Hooking Magazine, and each chapter was a different artist. In one of them, I'm sure that the artist's first name was Barbara. But now I'm thinking, I think that she was from Chicago, so maybe I'm crossing wires. There was an artist in that book who definitely did a piece on Rehoboth Beach. Do you remember this? And I feel like the same artist had another beautiful piece that was set like at a campsite, and she said something in the chapter. I'm just remembering this. This was like two or 3 years ago on Coffee Time. But she said something like, a great memory, like her and her sister used to every summer take their kids to this campsite. And it was the same artist who did the, and it had all the kids at picnic tables. It was the same artist who did the Dollies, or that Rehoboth Beach. Obviously not this pattern, because this is a unique pattern that Valerie did. But it was definitely in that book. I don't know if you remember that. Grab it off your shelf if you have it, because it was really inspiring. But that was Rehoboth Beach too. So interesting. And I feel like there was something about an amusement park there, but I might be wrong. It doesn't matter, but it is a lot of fun. Kathy said they made saltwater taffy. Okay, so Dolly's, the brand, made saltwater taffy. Oh, how fun is that? How fun is that? No longer there, but still remembered. That is so fun. What a great nostalgic piece. Valerie, that is so... Let me come back to the piece. You don't want to see me. That is so beautiful. So beautiful. And see, once we get talking about it, right, people know. People find different things, right? It means something to all of us. It's a great piece. Why am I getting web root? I don't even have web root popping up over our screen. Hopefully it doesn't take the show down, because I plan to go for another couple of minutes. Veronica said, I love the colors, the sand and the ocean. Oh, God, me too. It is just beautiful. Just beautiful. Valerie, great job. Now, I said to you earlier in the episode, let's see what Kathy Pastori is working on now. Well, this is her new piece. This is what she's working on now. What a lot of fun. This is the current project as of a couple days ago. It's called Hidden in the Garden by Crow Hill Primitives. Really, really gorgeous. Now, she went from doing, remember, the cottage with the 3 colors, brown, gray, white, to doing this piece. Much more colorful. The pendulum doth swing, doesn't it? I could see wanting to do something completely different just for a change. So the change is as good as a rest. Beautiful piece, right into another solid piece. Kathy, I can't wait to see how this evolves. It is just stunning. Debbie Martins, I think you are on, or you were on. This is a great piece. My first punch design, about 8 by 11 inches. My craft room doubles as the kiddie room with multiple window perches, comfy chairs, scratching posts, and best of all, a gate with a cat door in order to exclude the dog. They love it. It may not be perfect, but it's just for us. LOL. Well, I think it's perfect. I just love it. This is for you, the cats, the craft room. This is your space. I just love you are there. I'm so glad. This is such a great piece. What a fun piece. Your first punched piece. Is this your first rug piece or your first punch piece? Because I have to say, this is very well done. You've done some very intricate outlining, the stitches that I can see. Now you're using the working side as the correct side. So contra punching, right? It's often called contra punching when you're working in reverse. It's absolutely beautiful. You got great detail. I can clearly see the character of the cats, the humor in the paw prints and the crossing out, right? The little bits of yarn hanging down, the punch, the hook, and that gorgeous edging. Did you do a crocheted edging or something on that? That is just gorgeous. First punch, other than a beginner kit. This is great. I think it's fantastic that you are already out of the gate um, creating your own designs that mean something to you. You have something beautiful to hang up in your space now. I mean, this is great. And Andrea says, love the border. Pam says, sweet little studio rug. It is super sweet. That was a rainbow ribbon I found. God, that's pretty. That is absolutely gorgeous. I love the colors too. It's so much fun. It's really perfect. It's perfect for your studio. It's perfect for anywhere. But what a lot of fun. That's where you and the cats go. No dogs allowed, right? It's just so much fun. You did such a great job. I'm so happy that you jumped in, that you did a great original piece that relates to you. It's your piece of storytelling. I can't wait to see the next things that you do. You are absolutely marvelous, and everything you do in the future, I just know is going to be fun to look at, fun to talk about. We're all going to be looking forward to it. It really is absolutely precious. I just love it. I just love it. I wish I had something like this in my studio. You know, it would make me smile every time I saw it. Veronica says, that is too cute. I have a cat too. Too cute. Pam, I put something, oh, Pam, I put this in. This was so pretty. Now, I want to read this. So, Pam, you wrote, so this was in our Facebook group. You wrote, it looks like I may be able to begin my new hooking project sometime in early February after Tommy recovers from his lung surgery at the end of the month. Pam, we are all thinking about you and Tommy. I hope that you know that. We are all thinking about you, and not just on gallery nights or on cocktail nights. We're still a bit nervous about it, of course, but have every assurance from his doctors that this should take care of the problem. I want to get him settled and on the road to recovery before I get my design laid out on the backing. Tommy printed out my design for me today, and I'm going to have a piece that will be approximately 18 by 24 inches. In the meantime, I've been sorting and choosing yarns that are in my stash already, but I have a few skeins of specialty yarn I'm searching for. So, not quite ready to get going. I am excited though. Hope to have it done in time for spring, the spring show at the Art Guild, and for the hook-in with the Palmetto Rug Bugs. Oh my God, the Rug Bugs. Our local rug hookers group. This is my pattern, no title yet, and some yarn just for effect, but not bad. ETA. Okay, so I have to show you. So this is, you know what, let me just put these side by side, Pam, because this is so good. So this is, you know, when I think about, it was called Grandpa's or Grampy's Hollyhock something, right? You remember the Hollyhocks, the prize-winning piece from last year. Well, I can see that this is well on its way to becoming the next great, well, you've done great pieces in the meantime, without a doubt, but another floral piece, you know. So you found these mini skeins. This is probably sock or a fingering weight mini skeins. Pam, was this like an Etsy find or a Ravelry find? Absolutely beautiful. And this is a great color palette because the color changes in the variegated yarn are built in. It'll be a lot of fun working with this. Sometimes when I always say this, sometimes when I hook with lightweight yarns like sock yarn, sometimes I double up or quadruple up. It really depends on what I'm doing. But I really love also using sock yarns. I love it. I not only love it hooking, but I love mini punching with sock yarn. Mini punch goes through a lot of, sock yarn goes through a lot of mini punch needles like Ultra Punch and the Vintage Pretty Punch, right? It doesn't go through all because it's a little bit thicker. It's not like a 1-ply, 2-ply, but it will go through a lot of mini punch. And then, man, you really get some traction. Oh, Debbie, that made you blush. Well, you should blush. That was a great, great piece. You are off to an incredible start. You know, I have to admit, I buy a lot of sock yarn, and I like to buy them in sets like this. So if you all are looking at this and thinking, ooh, I love what Pam's onto here. I love what she's onto. I want a piece of this. Well, you know, it is fun. These are thin yarns, right? You can hook with them. You can punch with them, but you might have to double, triple, quadruple them up. You can mini punch with them. There's lots of stuff you can do with sock yarn. It's very, very fun to have a set like this because the inspiration is built in. Those colors are there. Pam, this is such a perfect match. Pam says, sock weight yarn. I found these yarns on Simply Sock Yarn Company. Oh, interesting. Well, this is a great set. So if you are looking at this and thinking, oh, I want a piece of this. How do I get in? I have to say, I buy most of my sock yarn sets on Etsy or the sell and trade tab on Ravelry, one or the other. And if you're looking for a set like this, then you should be searching for words like, well, definitely yarn or sock yarn set. I'm thinking some of the tag words that I put in. Sometimes ombre. This one's more variegated than ombre. But set and sock should get you there. You can always type in a color family, but you're going to be amazed if you don't do this already. You're going to be amazed at how many sets of sock yarns are already there for you. And sometimes the chicken comes before the egg, or the egg comes before the chicken. You know, sometimes you see a set and you think, okay, I didn't have an idea, but now I do. And sometimes vice versa. Like with Pam, she was already working on the composition, and then she saw the set and thought, oh, match made in heaven, right? So it can work both ways. And if you find sets that you like, here's some more enabling talk. Might as well buy them and hoard them for a little while until you think of what to do with them. You'll think of something sooner rather than later, won't you? Look for mini skein sets. Yes, good, mini. That's a good one, mini skein. Because with the mini skeins, you know, they're still for projects that we do with rug making, right? With the mini skeins, you're not going to make a sweater out of 3 mini skeins, are you? That's never going to happen. You're not going to make a sweater out of the whole set, but you might make a scarf out of the whole set. But for us, we're not using as much as a knitter, right? We're doing smaller projects, and if you're using more than one color, you're good with mini skeins. You're never going to get through a whole mini skein, really. The mini skeins are usually about 120 yards. So the full skeins, if they're sock yarn, are more like 400, 600, depending on the weight. But the minis are usually just over 100 yards, and that is a lot. That is a lot, particularly if you're not using one color for the whole thing. So for example, if you were using just this set, and I know you said you're using other bits and bobs that you already have. Oh, Juliet, great tip. Also go to the Sheep and Wool Fest near you, because yes, all of the vendors have tons of sets, right? Tons and tons of sets. Fade or ombre sets. Pamela, good, 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 good. So, for example, with this piece, if you wanted to do an all-light background, you could use those 3 that are kind of in the middle with the whitish background. You'd have to be careful, because when you got close to the motif, you want to be sure that the greens and the pinks wouldn't tip the colors that are already there. So that could become problematic, but man, around the edge, you could get all those colors going. It's a really, really, really nice match. More of a lime green than your green, but I mean, I see it. I see it really well. You can dye your own too. Absolutely, you can dye your own. You know, you could get 1 or 2 skeins of sock yarn, fingering weight yarn, right? One skein is probably going to do it. Get 2 just to be careful, because the skeins, like I'm saying, are going to be a minimum of 400 yards, right? So even at, like, say 460 yards, something like that, if you have a nitty knotty, right, and you can buy like 3D printed nitty knotties on Etsy. You don't have to buy like a full blast wooden one that costs a lot. You can get small ones and mini ones. Mini ones for mini skeins make sense. But if you just nitty knotty a larger skein and separate it into, so if it's, for example, 400 yards, separate it into 4 skeins. And if you buy 2 skeins, then you have 8 colors, right, all the same. And then you can either do them sort of, these are ombre and variegated, but you could marry them by putting specks of the same color into, I'm hearing all kinds of bells going off. I'm wondering if people are ordering the G's Bend pattern. You can see there are some similarities of color. There are the same green, the same sort of rusty orange, and the same purple that go right across the whole family. So you have to be thoughtful when you do stuff like this, but man, it could be a lot of fun. Oh, and Juliet says you can make a nitty knotty from a PVC pipe, from PVC pipe scraps. That's a great idea. Juliet, do you think somebody could learn how to do that with like a YouTube video or something, making the nitty knotty pipes? That's a great idea. Great idea. Good call, Juliet. Support, maybe even build a relationship with your local dyers. Great idea. Yeah, you know, there's only so many colors in the world, but each color set to me is different and special. And, you know, I gravitate more towards some than others. But it's why looking at lots, right, is a lot of fun, because so many ideas come up when you look at other people's sets of colors, right? So much comes to the surface. Now I'm going to kind of fly through, although I don't like flying through. I have just a few more images I want to show you, because some of these are so pretty, and I have them in the show. Beverly always does like sort of holiday or seasonal stuff for her door. So she has like a door hanger and she puts up lots of pretty stuff for all different holidays. This is obviously her Valentine piece that she is working on. She always dyes her own wool and does her own design. So this one, Love is in the Air, the winged heart in the center, beautiful background, right? She says, my design, she hooked it, she dyed the yarn, and she combined two of her favorite background techniques. Now, she doesn't say what they are. Um, she is doing like the boxing echoing and a little bit of marble cake, but I bet that's not what she means. I bet she has words for her backgrounds that she's using. I'd love to know. I'd love to know what she was thinking. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the background. Beverly is a master at backgrounds. She is a master. Another beautiful piece for the door. Another great seasonal piece. I just thought this was so charming. An original pattern. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Polly, you came up with something great. Now this is going to close our episode. Oh no, I have Juliet. I have you. I have one more friend after this. I put this in Polly Jones. Put this incredibly handy post on, and I just want to show you this in case this is helpful for you. So Polly said, "Here's a frugal way of traveling with your wool worms." Right? You could also do this with cut yarn. So tools to make worm organizers: an old flimsy cutting board, right, just to cut with, straight edge ruler, rotary cutter, and 1.5-inch hole punch. Ta-da! And those are the supplies, and this is what she did for traveling. She used her tools, and she literally punched cardboard or thick paper the way that she wanted it, and she was able to lay out her colors, right, this way. Now, probably you could put them through the holes. That might put some stress on the holes. This works too. I guess it depends on the weight of that you're punching, but she just used that circle punch, right? You could do this with scissors too. You don't even need the rotary cutter. Just cardboard and a circle punch, or, you know, a circle punch would be a good investment for this. Because each time you travel, you could create your own holder, right, for your different color families. It makes a lot of sense to do this. It's going to be lightweight, right? It's going to be a lot of fun putting this together each time you travel, right? Another part of packing for the trip and the anticipation to get you going, make sure your stuff is close to you, that you have all the things that you need. What a lot of fun, right? And then she wraps them all up and just brings it with her, and there she goes, super lightweight. There's no extra weight here, just a few pieces of paper. I thought that was so clever. Now, Juliet, and we are going to close the show right after this. I'm sorry I'm running so late. Juliet says, "I am back at the frame after taking several busy months off. I've laid out 3 new Chesapeake fantasy designs on linen." And I know that you are going to remember Juliet Page's pieces from past episodes. And we do have Juliet's pieces, her Chesapeake series, right? Remember all the beautiful rugs that Juliet designed and that are on the floor of your boat, right? It looks like these you're using for pillows, right? Maybe at the house. But and I have to admit, I don't have the latest 2 designs in the store yet, but we will this weekend, I promise. But we have the rest of Juliet's line in the Ribbon Candy Hooking Store. And Juliet, I forgot to tell you, one of them sold like last week or the week before. I'll have to tell you which one because I know you're going to be interested in knowing. But you wrote, "As I've laid out 3 new Chesapeake fantasy designs on linen." I'm not sure I'm on the right slide, but you said one is going to be a pillow. I started hooking it last night with homespun yarns, a little bit of velvet. Now, you always use a real mix, lots of different materials. I love that about your work. Commercial yarns, wool strips. Santa brought me a fancy honeydew wool cutter, so I'm going to be using more wool fabric. Oh, interesting, because you have really been a mostly wool user, right? You've got a forest of yarn trees in your place. And you wrote, "In progress, see the photos below. My cat Tama, the yarn thief, was helping me gather yarn balls into a large basket from my stash bins, getting ready to hook." So let's just look at like some of the new designs. And again, I will get these into Ribbon Candy Hooking, I promise. It has just been, honestly, honest to God, nonstop. But Tama is so cute. Am I saying her name right? She is helping. What a beautiful girl, huh? What a beautiful little calico. And this is you working away and working heavily with yarn, I just love seeing your drawing on your backing fabric and seeing how things evolve. Your color families are absolutely beautiful. You always have that kind of Chesapeake feel. Juliet, are you going to do the Chesapeake feature for the Magpie? Do you think you have time for that? Are you still super busy? Because I just love the idea of doing the Chesapeake area. I love seeing the yarns that you're using. You've always got tons laid out that are, I'm doing a show, so be appropriate.
Hi.
Hey, you want to come in and say hi?
I don't have pants on.
You don't have pants on. Okay. I don't think you'll be on camera. Yeah, she's just got her underpants on. Well, and a shirt. So, yeah. We're just looking at Juliet's new pieces. Look at, this is one of her new sketches with the sea life and the crab. And man, it's so good. Pretty. It's very pretty. Very pretty. And that one has, and this is the other one, right, that is here as a, it looks like an exciting re-entry to the series, Juliet. That's what Judy says. Absolutely. Juliet says, I'm swamped for the next month or two. Oh, okay, so maybe I'll look for a different feature for travel for this month. So if anybody has a travel feature for Magpie, let me know. I could really use a travel feature for this first issue. For Magpie. This is another beautiful sketch, isn't it?
I like magpies. Can I see the magpie?
Well, I had Pamela painted a magpie. I'll have to show you later. I'm going to show you off camera because we're already half an hour over for tonight. Andrea says, lovely designs. It's 2:30 in the morning there, I know. So these are them coming to fruition. And Juliet, as usual, you are doing an extraordinary job. This is just an exquisite series. I know you've got to put these in a gallery or something, hanging all together at some point, right? They have got to hang together, without a doubt. These are just absolutely gorgeous. Your colors are a little different. I'm seeing less of like the light greens and the sea foams. I'm seeing less of those. I'm seeing more dark purples and dark blues. Interesting. I love that there are different color palettes from one to the next, and it's looking gorgeous as a pillow. And Pamela agrees that you should absolutely have a solo show. Do I want to know what just fell on the floor, Joss? Okay, come over here because without... Okay, wait, stay low, because you have no pants on, right? You come in and say, sit down, there we go. Now can I make it back to the table to see the... There she goes. Don't stand up.
Come on.
Oh, man, you're going to break the chair. What are you, 99.68 pounds now?
Probably.
That's what she is. All right, let's see. Kirsten says, so fun and beautiful.
Mom, do you know the book Fox?
Fox. Boy, you scared me there. Yeah. No, I don't know that book.
Oh. Well, there should be a hook drug on it.
There should be a hook drug about the book Fox? Does anybody know the book Fox?
It's like the magpie reminded me, like the magpie and the dog.
Do you mean like fox. Aesop's Fables with the grapes and everything?
No.
Oh.
And a dog and a magpie and a fox.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about. Well, maybe you can... Do we have the book Fox?
I don't think.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up online as soon as I log off. Hey, everybody, it was a great night. Whew, we had such pretty work tonight that I ran a half an hour over. Fooling around and drinking my drink and looking at rugs. That's pretty much as good as it gets.
Can I drink your drink?
No, you cannot drink my drink. It's
wait,
all
can we
gone.
wait? Because I know there's a delay and I want to see if anyone knows the book.
Okay, let's see. Does anybody know the book Fox? If it's a kid's book, it might be hard because I don't think it is a super well-known book. At least I haven't heard of it. What's that?
It's pretty well-known.
Juliet says, thanks. They're pillows to coordinate. So are you going to put them on the boat, Juliet? Are you going to put the pillows on the boat too? It is a gorgeous series. And Pam agrees. I'm sure we all agree. There has to be like a solo exhibit of the whole Chesapeake Fantasy series. They are really, really something. Oh, is it Barbara by Margaret Wise Brown, like of Goodnight Moon? Interesting. Yeah, I don't know that book. Well, now it has some sort of merit to it because I know that name. It must be a beautiful book. I'm gonna have to check it out. Maybe we can.
Is that? I think that's the one with the fox and the magpie and the dog.
Interesting. You're not thinking of like the Bremen minstrels, no?
I don't know what that is.
I'm gonna have to check it out, but at least I know where to start now.
There should be a hook drug on it.
There should be a hook drug on it. Well, you know, it's funny that she said that because I'm thinking Margaret Wise Brown, no, she's more, yeah, no, I don't think her stuff would be out of copyright yet. I think she did work in the well, I don't know, I think she did work like in the 20s, but I think she was working until what, the 40s, 50s, that kind of thing? So then it would really depend on where that book fell in the timeline of her life. Because if it fell before 1929, it would be copyright free. Did you see that the children's book, I might have already said this, called Millions of Cats, is copyright free?
I love that book.
Yep, it's copyright free this year.
You should make a pattern.
I was looking at the pages of it, and it's like a lot of woodcut, very detailed. It could be simplified. There are some images in that book, including the cover of the book, that I think are really very striking, very high impact, great compositions that could be very good, large scale for a hook drug. That is one of the many things.
It's the dog, the magpie, and the fox.
Okay, in the book called The Fox.
Yeah, because someone said the dog and the fox.
Oh. What's going on over here? Did you save any for me? All right. I'm going to log off. You want to get off my lap without exposing your rear end? Chipotle. Don't do it. All right. Let me say goodnight to everybody. If I remember, they had disabilities. The fox, the dog, and the fox. Oh, see, people do know about the book you're talking about. How come I don't know it? Did you read it? Is that food or is that plastic? No. No thanks. No thanks. That looks like a throat plug to me. Bye, Joss. Has a hole in it, right? It's like a lifesaver. You should definitely be sucking on it. Barbara says, by Margaret Wilde, these pillows were Christmas gifts. Oh, they were Christmas gifts. Oh, how beautiful, Juliet. The dog and the fox. I have to check that out. How interesting. I wonder what kind of disabilities they had. That's really interesting. Juliet, curious, does copyright apply to things in other countries too? Okay, or just the U.S.? No, everywhere. But different copyright laws apply in different places. So, for example, if we're talking about our rules in the U.S., they're not the same as in England, right? So I think in England, at least not that long ago, it was like a 50-year copyright delay. So for us, it's, I think, 90-something years or X amount of years after the maker's or creator's death. But in other countries, it's different. So for example, if we were living in England and it had a different copyright rule, I think their copyright window is shorter. You can use sooner. So they would be able to use a lot more images than we would be able to use. Even though we're talking about the same artist, the copyright law is different. So it differs from country to country, and you really have to pay attention to what you want to borrow, right? Whether it's like a visual thing or music or a video, movies and songs, books, everything comes out of copyright at a certain point. But it is different from country to country. And the easiest way, if you're thinking about a specific work, the easiest thing to do, just as a starter before you really research, is to type in, for example, is the Beatles song, We Can Work It Out of copyright. Obviously it's not. But it would tell you, that wouldn't be something that we would probably want for working. But it would say, clearly the song is not out of copyright, and usually Google tells you why it's not out of copyright and when it will be out of copyright. But it's sometimes something you want is not out of copyright, and then it's fun to go to just the public domain. You can search the public domain for images, and you can sign up for the public domain, and it literally will send you an email, I think it's every day, to tell you what images are now available and to showcase images that have literally just become available and entered the public domain. And it's the visual arts, it's song, it's sculpture, it's everything. It's everything creative that has ever had a lock on it, right? Juliet says, oh, thanks. I have to do some homework. I have a bunch of old pictures, picture books from Germany from when I was a kid. So it's going to depend on the book, but a lot of old children's books, if they're older than you, Juliet, right? Books that when you were young were written, those would still be under copyright. But if they're old books, right, that you just happened to look at when you were a child, for us in this country, you're looking at stuff that is 1929 and before, as just a general rule. So they, A lot of books are okay. A lot of books fall into that category. That is like the dawn of children's art, right? The 1880s through the 1920s, like the golden era of children's book illustration. So most of the illustrations that we see during that time are now out of copyright because we're right at the end of what was considered the golden age of children's book illustration. There are exceptions, like Beatrix Potter is being locked. It seems to be locked up again by Random House. So you always have to check and do a search because it doesn't always the X amount of years after the author's death, or I think it's like 92 or 96 years after the work, one or the other. I guess whatever comes first. It doesn't always work if the work has been renewed by a monster like Disney or Random House. So I don't know if I'm going to stop, but I don't know if all of you were following, but when I did that Mickey Mouse design on January 1st, it was the Steamboat Willie that I drew with the Steamboat Minnie, right? Because the other characters weren't there yet. I think that Brutus or whatever dog character was there, but I didn't put him in the design. But I put Mickey and Minnie, and I actually drew the Disney castle in the background because the Disney castle is based on an actual castle. And I have a painting of the actual castle, not a repro, but an actual painting of it in the downstairs bathroom in the kids' playroom. It's not a valuable thing, but it's a beautiful thing. And I was actually working from the painting I have of the castle to draw the castle. And people were making lots of comments on my post about copyright, right? And I knew that I was okay because it was Steamboat Minnie and Mickey. But somebody made a comment about the castle, and I never thought about the castle because how can you copyright a castle that exists? It's a building. It's in the world, right? Well, Disney can't copyright the castle, but Disney copyrighted. Now this is abstract. Copyrighted the idea of a castle in relationship to its characters. That's really a stretch, but they did, and they can because it's Disney. So while the castle is not copyrighted, I could do a hook drug of the castle. I can't do a hook drug of any castle with Mickey and Minnie in front of it because they own the idea of a castle with their characters because of the Magic Kingdom, right? You always have to research because there's always other layers. I was very happy that somebody said that because then I researched it and I found out that they had copyrighted the idea of a castle in combination with their character. I mean, that's really out there, but it does happen. So always be careful. Always check. Always check a few times, right? And just be sure, that you're good. And you can always send an email if you want help. And when I really need help, I go to my sister at Yale, just for the final yay or nay. And I always find that the copyright is way more relaxed than we make it out to be in the raw cooking world. Copyright law is a thing, but I think we really exaggerate what we can and can't do within the confines of raw cooking. It's not quite as strict as we think it is. A lot of stuff is up for grabs, and a lot of stuff is open to interpretation, without a doubt. Welcome to the world of art, right? So, yes, Schloss Neuschwanstein. I visited it in person. Oh, the castle. Okay, the castles. Yeah. I think we were talking about that once, how steep it was and the way that it was positioned really surprised me because in my painting it looks like you just walk across the lawn to it, but it's actually really isolated, or just something about the location of it was difficult, right? Anyway, yeah, Juliet, good luck with the German books. I bet they're beautiful. I bet you could do something amazing with that, your own great spin on it. Thank you so much for tonight. Love the purple in your hair, by the way. Thank you. I'm okay with it. I'm not sure I love it, but thank you for the compliment. I like it. I like it. I just can't. Yeah, I just feel like a pig lately. I guess that's it. Nothing to do with hair color. But all right, that's ridiculous. But they have, yeah, exactly, Judy. It's absolutely, it's bonkers. It's just bonkers. It makes me so angry when I think about it. You know what? I don't mean to end on a negative note, but this is what makes me so angry about Disney. I'm not going to be really bad because then I'll have to delete the video. But this is what makes me so angry. They built that whole brand by borrowing other people's stuff that was out of copyright. If you think about all of their early movies, right, all of the fairy tales, those are all someone else's idea, someone else's storytelling, someone else's property. They built their entire brand on other people's stories that were in the public domain, including like Alice in Wonderland, right? Contemporary writers, well, I mean, it's starting in the 1920s and 30s, fairly recent writers, but they absolutely pigged out on the public domain. And then they did not want to put anything of their own in the public domain for as long as possible, and still fighting it, kicking, being Mickey and Minnie being dragged into the public domain on January 1st of this year, kicking and screaming, Disney kicking and screaming when they built the entire brand on public domain material. That's what gets me. It's a little bit too ironic for me, but we'll leave it at that. Happy weekend, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. I will be back with you on Monday for coffee time at noon Eastern Standard Time. And I will keep these 2 sheets. I want to look at Barbara's 2 sheets. And I want to look at more of our tips and tricks. We have a few things to catch up on. Let me look at okay, the Dear Abby. That was the whole tips and tricks. We're going to do that Monday. Cozy composition. We never finished looking at Sadie's mom's, was it Sadie? Sadie's mom's composition book. We never finished looking at that. We need to finish looking at that, and we never finished looking at the rugs in the Bereshwa Church book. Those are 3 outstanding, and we never finished the Wall Street Journals, right, for January. By now, we're going to be out of January. But I have a whole bunch of tabs for shows that we only partially finished. So we have so much content. We will dig in this coming week, Monday and Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and then we'll be together again next Friday night for what I don't know yet. But we have a lot of good stuff to talk about. In the meantime, have a great weekend. And if you want me, you know I am at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Send me your Magpie stuff. I'm looking for a travel feature. Send me anything you want, and I will see you all